Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto's parents have split their son's soul into 9 pieces. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. Naruto Uzumaki, Yokai Academy. Minato's paw. Minato Namikaze laid on wet earth, out of breath, cuts over his body, and was dying. He had never felt better. His wife lay beside him, just as weakened as he was from their recent battle. It would be their last. Finally sealed the damn thing. Good work, Kushina. No way that Fox will break the seal. Too tired to move. Kushina Uzumaki gave a small smile, blood trickling down her mouth. Minato weakly lifted his fingers and wiped the blood away. He grinned at her. Much better. You look beautiful when you're dying, by the way. This earned him a not-so-gentle punch in the shoulder. The baby Kushina uttered a small warble. What shall we name him? Minato whispered into his loved one's ear. Kushina pondered this. How about Naruto? This elicited a small laugh from her husband. After your favorite steamed fish paste cake? Great naming sense, honey. Bam! The fourth Hokage shrugged off the huge bruise that was now forming on his head. Just kidding, dear. Naruto is a fine name. Could I hold him? He reached out, a pleading look adorning his face. No, I don't trust you with my baby. You'll just drop him. But he's my child too. I promise not to drop him. Unless he squirms and falls out of my arms. That'll be his fault. Bam! The third bruise was starting to get to him. Okay, I was just kidding. I promise not to drop our child. Minato cautiously took hold of his son, looking as if he thought Naruto might pee on him at any moment. Am I holding him right? I don't want to drop him. You're doing fine. Take a look at how cute he is. Minato gazed thoroughly at his son, looking him up and down. Then he noticed something about the seal on Naruto's belly. Oh no, a look of horror took over Minato's face. It couldn't be. He kept staring at it, as if that would change his mistake. No. Kushina was now worried as well. What is it? What's wrong? Slowly, Minato showed the seal pattern to his wife. She gasped, and then started to cry. Naruto, my son, I'm so sorry I did this to you. Minato drew her closer to him, pressing her head to his chest. Shush. It's not your fault. It was mine. I should have done the seals properly. The red-headed wife, however, continued to cry. What'll we do? What's going to happen to our son? A bright light flashed, and baby Naruto started to change. He started to grow fur, and whiskers sprouted from his face. The change was slow, but with every gradual second, it would get faster, Minato knew. If this keeps up, our son Naruto will have the body and destructive powers of the kitsune, and the mind of a child's. He will be hunted, used, tortured, and will die. We can't let that happen. Kushina drew in a shaky breath and steadied herself. What can we do to save Naruto? The blonde ninja smiled. This was the wife he knew. That's why he had married her, of course. We can't change it now. It's already too late for that. But what we can do is delay the process until he finds someone to help him permanently. It may take years or decades, but he will find that person. Kushina nodded. We need to make sure the seal has a power source that it can use to keep the seal from taking over. Maybe a blood exchange? Minato lightly bonked his head against his wife. See? You're full of good ideas, Kushina laughed. We'll need to do this quickly though, and it will take the remaining bit of our energy. You ready? Kushina looked into the eyes of her husband one last time. Kushina pushed her lips to his, and there was no resistance. Then it was over, too soon, but couldn't have been longer. Together, they chanted the summons of Minato's contractors, the toads, and spoke the words to save their child. When it was over, Minato carefully explained the situation to the frogs. Their child would become a Kyuubi and be killed by the other ninjas. That, under any circumstances, could not happen. So they would split Naruto's soul into pieces, and would be sent into other worlds. Hopefully, the individual souls would be safe there. The frog's job was to watch over that soul, and try to help it find a benefactor. In other words, a person to help, channel, control, and absorb the power of the Kyuubi's soul inside Naruto. Do you understand your mission? Minato managed. The summons was about to take his body as a sacrifice. All the toads and frogs bowed as one. We understand, Minato-sama. We will guard the souls with our lives. You shall not let anything happen to my son. Then Kushina spoke up. Quite well too, considering she was about to disappear from the universe. Much better than Minato, but no surprise there. May I speak? The toads and frogs started sputtering what an honor it was to be talking to the boss's wife and so forth, but she simply raised her hand in a halting gesture. Is Gama-chan here? I need to talk to him. It's important. The urgency in her voice stopped all other voices. One particular frog hopped up, head bowed low. How may I serve Kushina Ojo-sama? Kushina fished into her pockets and dug out a small object. Gama-chan, I have a last favor I would like to call from you. The little frog had tears in his eyes. Anything, Ojo-sama. Anything for you. Could you make sure my son gets this? Gama-chan's eyes widened. For your son? The female ninja smiled. Yes. It's part of my soul, so don't worry about how many Narutos you will have to give this to. Please make sure he gets it when you deem it right. Gama-chan bowed his head low. Of course, Kushina Ojo-sama. Have no fear. I shall make sure he receives it when the time is right. Thank you. With her final words, both husband and wife shimmered out of existence. The only thing left was a small hazy soul. Then it separated into 9 pieces, and all flew off into different directions. All the frogs save the few who were entrusted to watch over Naruto's soul, hopped away into the night. The first soul, along with the chosen frog by the name of Gecko, broke through the dimensional barriers, and flew to a place called Earth. And then, made itself comfortable by a certain bus stop, beside a certain man named Sukune Iono. Sukune's POV. I wonder what kind of school it's gonna be like. Aw man, I'm so nervous. I hope I can make a couple friends. Sukune Iono rubbed the back of his head. His father had picked up an application for a high school and decided that he should go for it. Literally speaking, like literally picked it up from a stranger literally. Had the team not failed all the other applications from the other schools, he would have refused something so suspicious, but again he was faced with no choice. He sighed. His life was full of crappy luck. Sukune was your typical run-of-the-mill 15-year-old teenager, with black hair, brown eyes, and dressed in the standard school uniform that had been mailed to his house. He was a slightly timid guy, and had never gotten a girlfriend. Maybe, just maybe, hope rising in Sukune's chest, that would be changed upon attending this school. Yeah right. Rustle, rustle, rustle. What was that? The brown-haired boy jumped backwards, awkwardly attempting a martial arts stance from some martial arts film he'd watched. The rustling of the lone bush increased in volume, until Sukune couldn't take it anymore, and screamed, pushing away the mass of leaves in his way. Hiya! Peering down, he saw the thing that had scared him so. It was a cute little fox. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he had been holding. Oh, thank goodness. Hey little guy, what's your name? You're cute. Where's your family? Looking side to side he tried to spot the child's family, but there weren't any people in sight, let alone any foxes. Sukune picked him up by his front legs and the mammal licked his face. Hey, that tickles. Sukune laughed and could have sworn the fox was too. Having slick smooth fur, the fox had golden hair and jaded eyes for color and shape, and about the size of Sukune's head, minus the tail, which was only slightly longer than its body. Its limbs were gold till the paw, which was black. Its ears were the same, golden till the tips, then darkening black at the tips. It had a sort of collar on it, attached to it was a scroll? He took the scroll out from its case and read the only words on the page. Naruto Uzumaki. Puzzled for a moment Sukune returned his gaze back to the little fox. Naruto? Uzumaki? The newly named animal happily yipped and wagged his tail. Q. Sukune smiled. So that's your name huh? Where'd your family go? Naruto just yipped again and kept smiling. Well I wish I could help you little buddy, but I have to go to this new school soon, and I don't think they would allow pets in their dorms. Now, Naruto's face fell. Dipping his head, Naruto started to whine, pleadingly butting Sukune's forehead. Aw, yes, it's true you're adorable and all, but I can't take you. Naruto gave the boy a look. Q? Well, because I just can't okay? Look, the bus is already here. A plain gray bus had cropped up from the corner of the side block and was steadily making its way to the stop. I have to go now. Goodbye Naruto. Maybe I can visit you again when I'm on vacation. Naruto whined once more, before disappearing into the same bush he had come from. The teenager was sad to see Naruto Uzumaki go, but he couldn't well take him to school. There would be nowhere for him to play, and what would he eat? He didn't even know if they would allow animals on their grounds. Sukune heaved a sigh. His luck really was crap. The doors opened, and looking over his shoulder the sad boy reluctantly hauled his packs onto the bus. Taking a spot at the middle of the bus, Sukune sat absent-mindedly wondering at the passing scenery. "You are the new student enrolling at Yokai Academy?" Startled by this new voice, Sukune was brought back to reality. "Ah, yes, I am." It was the bus driver. He was wearing one of those old bus driver uniforms with the hat, the ones that had been used in the 80s. He. In that case, you had better prepare yourself. At the end of this tunnel, the man pointed, and Sukune just realized they were passing through a tunnel of lights and colors. When had that happened? They flashing colors continued for a good minute, before they burst out of a tunnel beneath a dark red sky. At the end of this tunnel, he continued, is Yokai Academy. It's a pretty scary place, so watch your step. He. This was his last bit of advice before he closed the bus doors and sped off. What the hell, this is creepy. What's with this haunted house of a school? It was as the teenage boy said. There was a school nearby a cliff with dark waters. The sky was a deep magenta color with crows flocking to the sky. A cemetery lay by, and none of the trees grew buds. There was no life whatsoever. Why would anyone in their right mind attend such a gloomy school? Coming through. Watch out. A high-pitched voice echoed in the air. Sukune turned, just in time to be caught by the front wheel of a bicycle in the face. Crash. Something squished Sukune's face and cheeks. Getting up, he saw a girl, sprawled out in front of him. It's a female. I'm so sorry, I just got a bit dizzy from my anemia condition. Are you alright? The girl looked up and Sukune could appreciate how pretty the girl was. She had a unique shade of pink hair. Chest looked like it was about to burst out of her uniform, delicate body, and judging from the feeling of her legs. Legs? His eyes slowly slid down, and Sukune saw where he was grabbing. A pair of smooth thighs lay in the palms of his hand and he was unintentionally following his basic human instincts and grabbing at it. Girl. Beautiful and cute. Hand. On her thighs. Current feelings. Ecstasy. As soon as this was processed, all thoughts about the eeriness of his new learning place vanished and was replaced with red. His nose spurted a fountain of life. Oh, no, you're bleeding. The girl cried out and she proceeded to wipe it off with her handkerchief. Ah, she's attending to me, the half-dead boy thought. I'm so blessed, but she stopped hand reaching for his nose. She was trembling. Ah, this smell. I can't hold back. Then this beautiful girl whom Sukune just met, fell into his arms. What's going on? She's hugging me already? Is my luck turning around? Then the girl's lips started to move up toward him. Here it comes, he thought giddily. I'm sorry. I'm doing this because, her lips went straight to his neck and bit. There was a slurping sound and Sukune swore that he was drained earlier. But that was nothing compared to now. I'm a vampire. Capuchu tilde. Sukune became pale and the healthy sheen of his skin was slowly stolen, sucked away by this vampire's greedy fangs. Soon, he was a husk of his former health, and he flopped down, lifeless. Ah, are you okay? The girl caught him in her arms, and Sukune couldn't decide whether he was being awarded or punished. Ha, I'm fine. He didn't think it was very convincing, as there was still some blood squirting out from his neck, and the girl looked ready to tell him that, until a familiar warm feeling rubbed his wounds. Sukune looked to his side, to find a ball of golden fur licking at his wounds. Weren't his eyes green? But then Sukune tilted his head and the sun stopped shining off Naruto's eyes and they became emerald again. He gently butted Sukune's cheek and gave him another lick and smile. Naruto? Is that you? What are you doing here? Huh? Oh my god, he's adorable. What's his name? Naruto? Where did you come from, cutie? The vampiress squealed, picking up Naruto and spinning around and holding him by his arms. Naruto seemed to enjoy this and cried out happily in response. Q. The beauty squealed again and hugged Naruto close. He's just too cute for words. She endlessly smothered her face into Naruto's furry fluffy body. Amid all this yelling, Sukune got up and looked at Naruto. How had he traveled so far so fast? He was sure they had gone at least a couple miles. Oh, he smells nice. Hearing this, Sukune quickly snatched Naruto back. Naruto looked confused at the sudden change in hands. Hey, you can't suck Naruto's blood too. But as Sukune breathed in, he also smelled something. Quickly, he dashed to his backpack, opened it, looking for his mints, only to the plastic wrappers in shreds and pieces. Ah, Naruto. Bad boy. I was gonna save those for later. Naruto burped. Mocha's POV. Oh, so sorry, I haven't introduced myself. Hello, my name is Mocha Akashiya. Mocha fidgeted. She appeared to be nervous about something. So, you don't hate vampires, do you? She shut her eyes and winced. Why would he? She had already drunk his blood. That definitely put her in his bad book. No, I don't mind them. They're a pretty unique species. Mocha gaped at him. Oh wow, really? Yay, that's great. Then if really don't mind, will you be my friend? Sure. Ah, my name is Sukune Iono. Giggling again. Mocha grabbed Sukune's hand, causing him to blush furiously. Pleased to meet Sukune. She looked Naruto in the eyes. Pleased to meet you too, Naru-chan. Naru-chan? Yeah, I thought Naruto Uzumaki was a bit of a mouthful, so I gave him a nickname. Why do you not like it? Pouty face. No, I love it. I think it's a great name. I was just surprised is all. She was all smiles again. Well then, I'll talk to you more after the welcoming ceremony, okay? Oh, sure, talk to later then. Mocha waving her hands ran off for school, still carrying her bike. After a long speech with how the strangely mysterious headmaster was gratified to see so many fresh faces, and looking forward to the new year, everyone got up and went with their assigned teachers. Sukune took a spot close to the windows and settled in. Their teacher finished writing her name on the chalkboard. Okay everyone, class begins now. My name is Shizuka Nekonomiya. I shall be your homeroom teacher this year. As you all know, this is a school specially built for monsters. His teacher's head sprouted ears and a feline tail swished behind her back. Sukune's jaw promptly dropped. Naruto chipped and twirled in a circle on top of the boy's head, apparently not at all surprised. Or just didn't care. Sukune couldn't bring him back, so he was just going to have to take care of him. Fortunately, he had checked with the school and they did actually allow pets. Because the humans have taken control of most of Earth, in order to survive, the eldest and wisest monsters of a few decades ago declared learning how to coexist with humans essential to our way of living, to learn how to get along with the humans. Yokai Academy was built for the sole reason of replicating a student's high school life. Therefore, as school policy, you are to keep your human form at school. No exceptions. You are also forbidden to allow your friends to know which monster you are. Hey teacher. A guy from the seat in front and across from Sukune called in a creepy voice. Wouldn't it be better to just make humans an extinct species? We could keep the women as slaves though, they're always fun to boss around. Nekonomiya-sensei tilted her head. Not to worry, there are no genuine humans on school campus. If there were, they would be immediately executed for stumbling upon our sacred grounds. Sukune almost fainted. Naruto slipped down his friend's arm and licked his hands. Naruto is my only ally in this place. But Naruto's eyes caught sight of a butterfly, decided to give chase. So now, even Naruto had deserted Sukune. The door slid open and a voice cut through the class. I'm sorry I'm late. I kinda got lost after the entrance ceremony. It was Mocha. Immediately, the men started to yell and cheer. Hey beautiful. Is being that pretty even possible? I'm so happy I'm in the same class as her. Please marry me. Then Mocha spotted a familiar face. Ah, Sukune. We're in the same class. I'm so happy. She rushed over and hugged the bewildered teen. His face flushed and the other guys all emitted a dark aura, staring knives and daggers at his back. Who is this guy? Why is she hugging him? What their relationship? God damn it. The males became increasingly angrier than most humans Sukune had ever seen. It must be because they're monsters. The males crowded Sukune, starting to push him around. Asking rhetorical questions, becoming more and more enraged. Nekonomiya-sensei yelled for everyone to stop, but they paid her no heed. Mocha was still hugging Sukune, and she stayed there, not noticing the murderous crowd. Amid all the violence, Sukune took note that the guy who had called out earlier about making women slaves had not moved from his spot, but Sukune's view of him was cut off, and he began to find it difficult to breathe. Just when Sukune was sure the other students would suffocate, the boys blinked as one, and stopped. Most went back to their seats grumbling, others flipped Sukune off, but all of them left him alone. Sukune raised an eyebrow. What the? Mocha grinned. Oh, welcome back Naru-chan. So you're in my class too. Please take care of me. Mocha gave a little bow, and Naruto tried imitating Mocha, tumbling off Sukune's head and into Mocha's lap. Sukune was distracted and didn't pay the fox too much attention. So what happened to killing me? Do monsters change their minds whenever they want? Oh well. I'm just glad I'm not dead. Sukune shook his head, grateful to be left alone, and turned his attention back to his teacher. Nobody noticed the guy who had spoken up during Ms. Nekanone's lecture, licking his lips and grinning madly. Ah, what a beauty. Do not worry, soon I will claim you as rightfully mine. Sukune's POV. I wonder why all the boys were so tired earlier? Mocha asked, half to herself, as Sukune was focusing more on walking straight. The timid boy's face was as red as tomato juice. Could you let go of me, Mocha-san? Mocha whined. But I don't want to. Already known throughout the school, Mocha Akashiya was considered one of the top beauties. The boys went wild whenever she was around her, considered it great luck to be remembered by her, and a fan club was already created in her honor. Most boys would kill to be around her. So Sukune couldn't decide if he should consider himself lucky or screwed, as the same school beauty was wrapping herself around his side using her arms, and more noticeably, her bust. And she wonders why the boys go so riled up. Sukune sighed. As if enjoying his depression, Naruto chirruped and spun in a circle on his hair. Then he jumped down the arm being held captive by Mocha and lay upon her shoulder, examining this newfound world from another point of view. Releasing one of her arms from Sukune's, Mocha scratched the little fox's ear, and whispered. Is Naru-chan doing well? He hasn't gotten a cold or anything, has he? The teenage boy frowned. Sick? A cold? Naruto? Why would you say that, Mocha-san? It's only been a couple hours since you last saw him. Nevertheless, Sukune managed to temporarily escape Mocha's grasp, and inspected Naruto. He couldn't seem to find anything wrong with the little mammal. Except, maybe it's just me, but he seems to be a little warmer than before. Possibly a fever? Mocha twisted her head, peering closer. I think so, but then again, maybe not. I'm not too sure. I think we better take him to the nurse's office. Good idea, I think it's this. Bang, Mocha tilde. What are you doing hanging out with a chump like this? I'm a much better match for you. Come play with me, and I'll give you the treatment you deserve. There stood the guy who had interrupted the class before, fist in the wall above Sukune's head. He let those words with infinitely possible meanings hang in the air. The mood immediately turned sour, and the students nearby started to whisper and among themselves and watch from a distance. Naruto chittered and ran off before Saizo could see him. It's Saizo. He's such a rotten bastard. I heard he was such a player in the human world. His friend turned on him. Dude, what the fuck? He freaking molested them. Did you not hear me? Molested. M-O-L-E-S-T-Ds. Raging his point, his friend groaned. I get it, yeesh. You don't have to get all hyped up. Your monster from is gonna show at this rate. A troop of girls on the balcony above also started to whisper. Didn't his parents force him to come here or something? One girl spoke up. Yeah, something about either going to school or exile. Can't remember, another said. You think he would treat a lady nice? Another voice added. Sarcastically the first voice replied. Yeah, sure. Right up till he raped her in an alley then slit her throat. Great guy. Saizo Komiya merely sneered at the insults. He seemed to consider them compliments. Turning his attention back to the pair underneath him, he repeated his words, or rather, his intentions. So, what'll it be? Me, or this little brat? Not a hard decision, huh? Gathering her composure, Mocha inhaled and she answered. No thank you. I'm having fun with Sukune right now. Please leave me alone. Reattaching herself to his arms, the pink cat walked away with Sukune in her hold. Mocha's POV. Mocha, why are you so friendly to me? I'm just a regular guy whom you've just met hours ago. So why? The question had been nagging at his mind the whole time they had started to run. Despite having managed getting away, Sukune thought despite all of Saizu's harassment, he hadn't really tried to follow the two. That was worrying. Well, because, you're my first friend. You've been really nice to me and, at this she put her palms to her cheek and showed a rosy hue. We're blood buddies. So I'm just a walking blood bank to her. Great, Sukune dipped his head in defeat. Not noticing Sukune's depression, Mocha cheerfully cried. Well, never mind that guy, let's explore. I haven't seen the whole school yet. Sighing, he resigned himself to the girl's delights, being dragged from place to place. But soon he found that her natural energy and joyful demeanor had gotten through to him and ended up enjoying the time they spent together. Jealous, evil looks were never far from Sukune's back, and the boy could even spot a handful half transforming with rage. Also sensing their anger and rage, Mocha expertly dodged the majority of glares, making sure they never stayed in one place for too long. Nearing the evening curfew at the end of the day, they had managed to visit all the places on the freshman brochure that had been pointed out. Sukune had completely forgotten his problems, and the already dark violet sky was transforming into an even deeper shade and showed no signs of stopping. At last, thoroughly exhausted, the couple made their way down the path. The paper guide said ahead was where they would be staying. So this is where the dorms are. Oh my gosh, isn't it such a noble, majestic building? Sukune disagreed. What was majestic about it? It was big and dark, with plenty of windows with no lights to be seen. More lifeless trees and gravestones hung around the entrance and surrounded the living quarters. If anything, this place was even creepier than the school building. A crow cawed, signaling their arrival too perfectly. Oh, you don't like it? Even though you seem like a nice monster. Oh yeah, by the way, what kind of monster are you? Kappa? Ghost? Ah, but we're not supposed to tell each other, are we? Pretend I never said anything, Sukune. The guilty human laughed nervously and rubbed the back of his head. Breathing a sigh of relief, he tried redirecting the flow of conversation away from him. What about you? You seem like a normal human girl. Are you really a vampire? Mocha nodded, then proceeded to point out her chest area. I may not seem like it right now, but that's because of this. She fiddled with the cross necklace adorning her neck. A rosario, was it called? There was even an eye in the middle. This rosary was put around my neck to seal my powers, and if it's ever taken off, I become a big scary vampire. Sukune was still having a bit of a time believing this. Mocha just seemed so human, it was hard to actually consider her a vampire. Sukune's POV. Sukune climbed into his bed, still rubbing his aching neck. Before they'd parted, Mocha had taken a farewell nip, she'd called it. Man, maybe he should stick around and let her more often. Mocha was incredibly cute, especially considering she was a monster. But then again, sigh, if he were ever discovered, then his head would go flying off his body. Wham, just like that. They were all monsters, and even one younger than him could probably kill him without trouble. Gah, what do? Q. Sukune lazily slid his eyes down his bed. It was Naruto. He had completely forgotten about him. When had he come back? Couldn't remember. Hey Naruto, where did you go? Find something you liked? But Naruto just licked the sleepy teen's face and lay down on his chest, rising and falling with his friend's breaths. Yawning, Sukune mentally shrugged. Naruto was back and wasn't injured, that was all that mattered. Good night buddy, he whispered. Naruto yawned back and they both passed into slumber. Sukune walked toward school, a determined step in his walk. Starting today, he would be brave and just stay at this school. After all, Mocha was here too. And Naruto would always be with him. Right now, he was sleeping around the boy's neck, not unlike one of those stuffed animals. Hopefully he didn't run off too much. There was nothing to be afraid of. Hey, scumbag. Sukune halted in his tracks. It was Saizo. What did he want now? Nice fashion senses, starting to look like the old woman you are. Saw you getting all cuddly with Akashiya last night. Care to explain? Oh, yesterday? High-strung laughter. We were just walking around the school, you know, checking it out. The bully's eyebrow twitched. So you were just walking around? The tension in the air went up. Yeah, no big deal. A pause. Then Sukune was grabbed by the collar of his uniform. Bullshit. We're gonna settle this right now. What's your true form? Huh? What kind of pansy-assed monster are you? Sukune's mind whirled, and beads of sweat perspirated on his brow. What to do, what to say? Think man think. A vampire. Silence. Crack. The wall Sukune had been walking along crumbled to the floor. Vampire? You're a vampire? They're the immortal monsters of the West. They have supernatural abilities like that of a god. A Class S monster and you're telling me you're one of them? A pathetic shit like you? Saizo spat to his side. This is a warning. If I ever catch you even looking at Mocha, he pointed at the rubble. You'll look like that when I'm through with you. And he stalked off, the other students hurrying to get out of his way. Naruto sneezed, and Sukune groaned. Mocha's POV. Mocha found Sukune walking the complete opposite direction of the school, with 2 large bags at his sides. Where was he going? Sukune? What are you doing? School's that way. The brown-haired boy stopped, and then turned. I'm so sorry, Mocha. I'm going to go to a human school. This place is just way too scary for me. No, Mocha suddenly yelled. You just can't. I hate humans. When I was in middle school I went to some of their classes, and hated it. They never knew about me being a monster. They never liked me and judged me, always thinking I was a freak. That's why I hate humans. But you know that I'm a vampire, and don't care. This is the first time in my life I haven't felt alone. Please stay. I can help you with your studies, and we can be together and… What if I told you that I was one of those things you hated? What if I said I was a human? The sudden question caught Mocha off guard. What are you talking about, Sukune? Don't joke like that. It's not funny. Then the fury boiled out of Sukune and he burst in a fit of mad laughter. Funny? You want to know what's really funny? I'm human. Isn't that just a barrel of laughs? Isn't that hilarious? I'm one of those people you hated so much. Then the boy let his head hang sadly. The only reason I'm even here is because of some stupid mistake. Bewildered by his sudden lashing out and confession, Mocha took a step back. This only served to drive Sukune even more off the edge. See that look on your face? You hate me too. I shouldn't even be here. Goodbye. Since when had he been so opinionated? And he ran off, leaving a small wet spot where his tear had fell. Saizu's POV. Naruto woke, jolted awake from the sudden change of pace, squeaking in alarm. Regardless, Sukune sprinted away, head burning with emotion and the weight of his thoughts. He continued to run and run. He didn't stop, in fear that if his heart stopped beating, it would break. He could see the Scarecrow bus stop, soon he'd be able to. Whoosh, smack, crash. Out of nowhere an arm caught Sukune, sending him flying backwards, slamming against a boulder, even partially cracking it. Laughter droned in his ears, his hearing different levels of echoes. Saizo. Damn it, he had been so close. Sukune lay there, dying at the foot of the stone, with Naruto licking at the blood trickling down his face, trying to help. Naruto cried sadly, nudging his head against Sukune's. Well, guess this is goodbye, Naruto. You should run. If Saizo sees you, he's going to kill you too. Goodbye, my little friend. Good luck with your life. Obviously against his will, Naruto looked back, then sped off at a speed that made Sukune sure he was hallucinating. Oh good, I'm glad I caught you. You leaving school. Then there are no problems with me beating you to a bloody pulp. A ridiculously buff figure with extra bones sticking out of the ends of his limbs loomed over the dying teenager. With razor-sharp claws and a skin and sharp face, Saizo looked even more ugly than usual. You? A vampire? Why didn't I just annihilate them years ago myself then? Saizo laughed. Later, loser. With that he threw down his fist. Sukune's POV. Sukune closed his eyes, wishing he hadn't been so powerless, wishing he could obliterate strong idiots like these. But it was too late now. Patiently waiting for the blow, Sukune closed his eyes, wondering what else he could have done in his life. And waited. Still waiting? What was going on? He really should be dead by now. Sukune opened his eyes and frowned. Why had Saizo stopped? It wasn't like he had anything to gain by waiting. Then a deep voice rumbled through the air, causing Sukune to wince. So you wish for power, kiddo? I can give it to you. I can grant you power to rule the world, to rid you of any obstacles. All you have to do is promise to feed me once in a while, and let me use your body from time to time. What do you say? Do we have a deal? This voice was like that of a merchant. Silky, smooth, wanting to take everything you had to offer, while leaving you naked on the streets only a penny richer. Alarm bells rang in Sukune's head, telling him not to trust the voice, but what other choice did he have? He nodded. Good choice, kid. You chose well. Now touch this paper, and it's all yours. A glowing scroll appeared in front of him, and for some reason, strength came back to Sukune. Flowing, pulsating, brilliant strength. Sukune laughed, and flexed his hand. This was great. He placed his bloody finger on the page, and the scroll disappeared, world shining bright. When he could see again, he smiled a feral smile. The power he could use to flick Saizo into oblivion was so much. He felt so alive. Sukune stood, brushed himself off, and hopped behind Saizo. Sukune waited for the giant brute to punch the ground and for him to roar in confusion as he realized his prey was not there. Sukune laughed. How had this guy actually been a threat to him? Saizo stumbled around, eyes wide. How did you? Sukune touched his finger to Saizo's lips, and the bully shut up. Then Sukune's fist connected with his face a moment later. For a few seconds, nothing moved. Then the monster's body acted as Sukune's had, blasting away, past 2 trees and thudding into the 3rd. A voice yelped, and Sukune's eyes and ears immediately focused on the tree to the left of Saizo. Mocha was in danger. Saizo had gotten up again, weak, but still enough to kill. If he could not have her, then no one would. Raising his claws, he slashed at Mocha. A single thought was resounding through his mind and body. Protect Mocha. And his back erupted in pain. His power failed, and he was regular Sukune again. Strangely, he felt a wriggling presence leave his body, along with his bloodlust and strength. I'm sorry Mocha. I guess I still want to be friends. Don't forget me, okay? His last movement was to reach out for Mocha's cheek and wipe away the tears staining her face. But that same hand fell to the rosario on her choker. Then his vision went black and he stopped thinking. Inner Mocha's POV. Terrifying. That was the only word that fit her. Saizo was awestricken by this female. A silver-haired woman had shown up from nowhere, and his carnal desires wanted her. Smacking his lips, he charged at this strange interloper. But the next moment his cheeks flared in pain and he found himself buried in the rock face of the mountain, the same place that boy had struck earlier. The woman was kneeling next to the boy. Thank you for protecting my inner self. I will now repay the debt. Saizo tried to get out, but was wedged too deep to even move. The only being with this kind of self-importance was vampire? The woman turned her gaze on him, and her aura exploded in a swirl of red and black. Die, trash. He saw nothing as she disappeared. Then a sweeping leg slammed into the back of his neck. He heard a crack, a snap, a world of pain, and then silence. Inner Mocha sneered. How dare he try to molest other women? How dare he even think of doing the same to her innocent inner side? Such filth must be rid of in this world, but if she actually killed him that would complicate things for Inner Mocha, so she didn't actually finish the job. He would get up later. His kind always had disgustingly efficient regenerative abilities, but right now she had other things to ponder. What was that aura she had felt earlier? Even if it was only for a moment, the amount of yoki that had gathered just before she'd been released from the seal was unbelievable. Looking at her shoulder, Naru-chan, the little creature her inner self had named, was looking at her. His eyes were pleading, begging her to help his friend. Outer Mocha smiled. Be at ease, little one. His life isn't in any danger as of now. But if I don't take him back right away, the wound will be fatal. Thank you for coming to find my inner self. Naru-chan, apparently satisfied, rested comfortably on his paws, and began to make small snoring noises. His work was complete. Inner Mocha smiled. What a cute little thing. So much mystery lay behind him too. Even he had an unplaceable yoki, something strange and alien. Interesting. She would have to find out later. Her time was nearly up. Gathering Sukune in her arms, she leapt in the direction of the school nursery. Naruto, Kyuubi's POV. Naruto was sitting on a window somewhere in some place that didn't exist, gazing at the bright moon. He had decided to talk to Naruto, and Naruto didn't like it one bit. That was easy, the boy has already signed the contract. This'll be fun. Q, Naruto replied, indifferently. Ha ha ha. The voice boomed. You act indifferent, and it's true he's just a tool for you. But tell me, what if he becomes more? What if you decide to never go back? Q. Naruto's shackles raised and spittle flew. You may say you only want to return to your family back home, the voice said sarcastically. But you and I both know that even if you do get back, your parents will not be waiting for you. Naruto remained silent after that, and sat back down, returning his attention to the view outside. Oh please, this boy was a suitable host for us, and that is the only reason we met him. Nothing more, nothing less. Once we're done with him, you may bless him a long life or whatever you wish, as long as you don't get in the way of my reunion with my others. But until then, I want to see how far our toy will stretch." The smooth, silky voice emitted a dark, sinister laugh. Sukune's POV. Sukune stared at the ceiling. The amount of time he had to think was torturing him. When did I get here? Where am I? What happened? It was all in his head. The fight, the rush of power, the contract. What about Mocha? Had Naruto managed to get help from Mocha? Had she called the teachers and saved him? Sukune winced as the newly formed cuts stung his sides. His head felt as if it had gone through a processor, and his legs felt numb. But that was nothing compared to his back. The ripped flesh was still tender, and every move he made scraped against the bandages, causing him to bite his lips to keep himself from screaming. The warm, rough feeling Sukune was so accustomed to rasped against his arms. It was Naruto. The look on his face asked, "Are you alright?" Sukune managed a smile, and scratched the little mammal's ears. "Thanks to you, little buddy. Thanks for getting help." Rubbing his head and purring, Naruto made his way back to his usual perch atop the boy's chest. "You're awake. That's good. I wasn't sure if you were ever going to get up again. Then I'd have to take care of a corpse. That wouldn't have been fun." Sukune turned to see a cute nurse smiling at him. Her words didn't match her cheerful expression. Where am I?" The woman tilted her head, considering the question. "Well, there are a bunch of names for this place. Sickbay, health office, dispensary, and maybe a couple more. I prefer to call it the infirmary." Simple no? Sukune decided not to answer that question. "Do you know how I got here?" This time the nurse clasped her face and twirled in a circle, giggling like she had gone back to being a little schoolgirl. "Ah yes, you lucky boy. There was a rather pretty girl with green eyes and rosy hair carrying you into my office. I was so surprised. I thought you would die, but your wounds healed in half the time I diagnosed. If I hadn't treated you, however, you would have died, no doubt about it. But make no mistake, you still have your girlfriend to thank, little boy." The teenager's blood rushed to his face. "Thank you for taking care of me. I really have to go now." "Thank you again." Sukune hopped out of bed and quickly slid his shoes on. It hurt, but he would rather take his chances outside than with this cute nurse. She was giving him an unsettling feeling. "Oh, it was no problem. Anytime you get hurt, please come to me. I promise to take care of you and your cute little fox." She licked her lips and waved goodbye. Mocha's POV. Mocha couldn't stop fidgeting and looking about. How was Sukune? It hadn't been more than a single night, but she was still worried for her friend. Naruto had come to get her, and she had followed in time to see Sukune get stabbed, and then. She couldn't recall anything more than that. But after her gap in memories, she could half remember seeing herself place Sukune onto the infirmary's bed, going straight to bed after. But what had happened to Sukune? Was he all right? Mocha kept thinking and worrying as she walked to school, all the boys gazing in her direction. "Mocha-san." The girl spun around, seeing the familiar figure of her classmate and his pet, Naru-chan, riding on his shoulders. "Sukune." She jumped into his arms, knocking Sukune over, and sending Naruto sailing into the nearby bushes. Mocha-san," but she stayed in his embrace, too relieved to move. "I was so worried. I thought you were dead. When I carried you in my arms, you were so limp and fragile." The other nearby boys aimed their glares at the back of Sukune's head. What did she just say? Carrying him in her arms. That lucky bastard. Why is Mocha hanging around that guy? Let's kill him. Sukune jumped back. The boys were starting to let their human forms shed. But to his surprise, the girls started to anger as well. They didn't say anything, but their killing aura was unmistakable. Most of the boys had already unsheathed their claws. Let their facial features show, and powers build. The girls had done the same, and that worried Sukune twice as much. Even Mocha had taken notice. Hiss, click-clack, shish, growl, crush, look out, Mocha cried out. She pushed them both out of the way as a praying mantis smashed his claws against the spot they had been standing a second before. The monsters were getting bolder by the second, losing themselves in their own powers. Why did they transform? I thought that was banned. Sukune screeched, fleeing the scene. Mocha was keeping up easily, not out of breath at all. Well, she was a vampire, even if her powers were sealed. They continued to run, following the one route trail to school, all the while dodging projectiles and evading badly aimed swipes. Spotting the entrance, the two charged into a mad last sprint. Their hopes were dashed however, when they had been blocked off by another mass of Mocha's fans. Crap, we're gonna get eaten by my classmates. Both human and vampire skidded to a halt as they were surrounded. Resigning himself to his fate, Sukune thought, "Ah well, at least I'll die with the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my arms." But his plan shattered as he spotted Naruto, slowly walking in front of the monster's path, and sat there, and started grooming his fur. What was he doing? All thoughts of personal safety vanished as Sukune sprinted forward to save the little mammal. Wrapping his arms around Naruto, the human sacrificed his body for his friend. While Sukune waited for death, Naruto's head squirmed up, just noticing the mob of fully transformed creatures running toward him. Cue, a sudden rumble of power, and Sukune could feel his friend's fur stick up, and a vacuuming feeling came over Sukune. He felt all his power wane, then a surge of energy burst forward, dying as soon as it had surged once. Ah tilde, he's so cute, what's his name? Sukune stood, Naruto in his arms. He seemed to be enjoying all the attention, mewling and making small noises when he was pet and scratched. The boys and girls that had been monsters a few moments ago had reverted back to human form and were playing Naruto. Sukune stood there with Naruto in his arms, what had just happened to him registering in his brain. They had gone back to normal just because Naruto was admittedly a cute little ball of fluffy fur? The school bell rang through the air and all the students who had participated in the dashed off hoping to get to class in time. Some of the girls even gave Naruto candy and treats. Happily accepted them, Naruto munched away greedily at his favorite spot, on top of his best friend's head. Mocha forced a laugh at Sukune's expense. She couldn't let him see how nervous she was. She had seen something Sukune hadn't. Just before they had been about to be killed, Mocha had seen true monster. A demon that ate and destroyed everything in its path. And its presence had emanated from Sukune. Sukune's POV. Say ah. Sukune opened his mouth and was fed a sushi roll. Mocha had made him sushi in her home economics class, and the boy was thoroughly enjoying it. I'm so lucky, he thought with tears spilling from his eyes. Out loud he said, "It's super good Mocha. You should be a professional chef." Mocha blushed. "Thank you Sukune. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm a little hungry too, so I'll be having my snack." Mocha leaned in, slowly lips lush and ready to eat. Sukune gulped and motioned his own lips forward. Kapu tilde chew. So that's what she meant. The tears had come back but this time for the opposite emotion. "So I'm just walking food again huh?" "Of course not," Mocha protested, "but I can't deny that your blood is the tastiest I've ever had." Ignoring his friend's predicament, Naruto whined in protest, putting his front paws on her lap. Where was his food? Mocha gave a small giggle. "Yes, I brought food for you too. Here you go Naru-chan." Naruto squealed and pounced on the cookie Mocha held in her hands. Flopping onto his back, Naruto nibbled at the pastry, awkwardly handling it with his hands and feet. "Oh, Sukune, I have something else for you to eat." "Close your eyes." Sukune obeyed, happily waiting for the next delicious sushi roll. But what he swallowed tasted like poison. Jumping to his feet, Sukune ran to the bathroom in an attempt to escape the horror. Mocha put a finger to her lips. "It wasn't that bad was it? I gave him store-bought food first then gave him mine. Did it really taste so terrible?" Naruto mewed hungrily for more but this time, Mocha shoved a cookie she had baked herself down the poor mammal's throat. Naruto stood there letting the taste of the food sit in his stomach. Then he turned from purple to a sickly shade of green, then dashed off in hot pursuit of Sukune, following him to the restroom. Mocha nodded thoughtfully. "I knew it. Needs more sugar and protein." Washing his mouth with soap after a good long while in the bathroom, Sukune patted Naruto's back. "Poor guy. It's okay Naruto. I know how you feel, I really do." Naruto just burped and turned green again. Sukune hurried to the back of the school where the gardens were, letting his friend lose his lunch in peace. What did Naruto eat anyway? "Oh, is somebody there? Anyone?" Sukune whirled around. Another girl lay on the ground, holding her sides, reaching out in desperation. "My chest started to hurt all of a sudden. Can you help me?" Rushing over, Sukune helped the girl to her legs. But Naruto took one look at the hurt girl, and hissed, spitting in her face. Sukune grabbed his body to keep him from attacking her. Why was he acting up like this? But the girl pulled on his arms, sensing someone. She had sea blue hair, wrapped up in a purple bow. Her eyes were the same color, and she wore a white long-sleeved shirt underneath a pale yellow vest. Her brown checkered shirt flapped in the wind, but the girl showed no indication she was trying to stop it. And her bust, holy crap, it was unbelievable, but her breasts were even larger than Mocha's. This newfound beauty looked her savior in the eyes. "Thank you. My name is Kurono Kurumu. As your friend, please take good care of me, friend?" Since when? Sukune felt his mind wander and melt. He saw a beautiful girl. He wanted to hug her. His primal instincts took over, and he listened to them. He hugged her, and she didn't resist at all, grabbing him as well. What was he doing? He had just met her but was hugging her like a lover. From a distance, Mocha saw the two cuddling and the girl laughing at something. Gritting her teeth, she left the two lovebirds on their own. Kurumu's POV. What Mocha didn't see was Naruto deciding to bite on Kurumu's delicate fingers. Ow, stupid thing. She raised her hands to smack him, but for a moment, when she looked the fox in the eyes, her heat skipped a beat. Replaced by the cute little animal was a vicious demon. Just looking at it sent shivers down her spine, scaring her to the bones. Her knees refused to work, and she collapsed into a heap on the ground. Those blood-red eyes, the fangs growing far larger than her head. The demon was going to eat her. She was sure of it, not even bones would remain. Then it was over. The cute little fox was back, no longer aggravated. In fact, he was sitting up straight, with a smug grin aimed at the drained female. "What's wrong? Are you still sick?" Kurumu didn't trust herself to speak. How had the boy not noticed? Can you take me to the nurse's office? I need to lie down." Sukune obliged, and allowed her to lean on his shoulder, starting his journey back to the infirmary he had only just left himself. Mocha's POV. Where had Sukune gone? She had just been eating with him a while ago, then he had run off all of a sudden to use the washroom. "Sukune, Sukune, Sukune, where did you go? Be careful. You are being watched and targeted. If you don't do anything, Sukune will be gone forever." Who's there? Hurry, time is running out. Mocha frowned. What did the voice mean by that? "Hey, you're a vampire, aren't you?" It wasn't a question. Mocha leaned back, spotting the blue-haired girl sitting on the stair. Pointing at the other beauty, she shouted, You're the one with Sukune earlier." The blue-haired girl hopped to the ground, flaunting her greatest assets, her bust size. Eyes and the attention of the school population were drawn to the two girls. "Who's that other cute girl? Her boobs. Boobs. I thought Mocha was the cutest, but this girl is just as pretty." The male students cheered and whooped for more action. The girl flicked back a strand of hair and obliged to the requests. She cupped her breasts and bounced them. The men went wild, the girls harumphed, scorn and disapproval written clearly on their faces. "As you can see, I am already on my way to becoming the most famous woman in this school. But you, Mocha Akashiya, have gotten in the way of Kurono Kurumu's masterful plan." Mocha managed a smile. "Ah, I see. Nice to meet you, Kurumu." Kurumu jabbed her finger in the other girl's face, ignoring her words. "I was to be the idol, the queen of the school, and seduce all the boys, but you ruined it. We succubi live off the love of our destined ones, our loves for life, and you are getting in the way of me finding mine." Mocha tried to find a way out. "Revealing your true form is against school." Kurumu stamped her foot. "I could care less. The yokai harem transformation plan would have gone perfectly without you. So, what better way to show you how you got in the way of my search for love, by taking away yours?" Mocha reeled back. What? The big-breasted girl put her hand to her mouth and gave a high-pitched laugh. "That's right. I will take your loved one, Aono Sukune." A voice interrupted their heated argument. "Mocha-san, are you there?" The crowd of boys that had surrounded the girls took a step back. They could sense something unpleasant was about to happen. "This is bad." Sukune grasped his knees, breathing hard. "Mocha-san, I finally found you. I must apologize for running off on you." "Sukune." Kurumu jumped into the startled boy, intentionally pushing her chest onto his. "Kurumu-san?" Sukune yelped. "What are you doing here?" "Wait, no, I came to apologize to Mocha-san." But a dark shadow covered Mocha's eyes. "I was so worried about you. And then here you are, snuggling yourself in another girl's breasts." Sukune backed away slowly. She was getting mad, something Sukune hadn't thought possible. Idiot. Mocha slapped the boy and he was sent flying into the roof. Q. A small voice sounded from the stuck human's pocket. The girls squealed as a tiny head popped out. Chattering, Naruto hopped down to Mocha. Her anger dissolved. Naru-chan, did I wake you? I'm sorry. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement and went back asleep around her shoulders. Sukune fell back to earth, twitching and bleeding. Ah, the scent of his blood. Oh no you don't. Kurumu yanked the lifeless boy away from the vampire's fangs. See Sukune, Kurumu stared into his eyes. She just wants you for her food. She isn't really your friend at all. No, there's this feeling again. Whenever I look into Kurumu-chan's eyes, I get all dizzy and my body feels strange. Mocha, aren't you the one who is just using me for my blood? Please don't bother me anymore. Mocha eyes watered, then spun on her heel and ran off, Naruto still tied to her neck. Huh? Ah wait, Mocha. Kurumu grabbed the boy's arm and refused to let go. Oh, Sukune, I feel faint. I think my sickness is back. Could you take me back to the infirmary? The succubus whispered, voice sweet as honey. Sukune wanted to chase after Mocha, but she had already disappeared into the crowd. The human boy sighed. Sure, he relented. Kurumu's POV. Kurumu was giddy with joyous pride. She had taken care of her accursed rival, and gotten herself her first slave. This was her chance. It's okay Sukune, I'll take care of you from now. She pushed the adorable boy's face into her breasts and kept him there. It's okay. Mocha's POV. At the front steps of the school, Mocha was kneeling by herself, trying to organize her thoughts. Was she really just using Sukune as her food? Were they really friends? What would happen to their relationship now? Naruto, sensing his other precious friend's mood, licked her cheek. Grateful, Mocha scratched his ears and he warbled in pleasure. But Sukune would want him back, and not her. Naive fool. It is not Sukune's fault. I am your other half, your other soul. Another you. That succubus is hypnotizing him. It is in their nature and power. If you don't hurry, he will be her slave forever. Mocha was stunned, the information working through her brain. The voice was emanating from the Rosario, claiming to be another part of her. Naruto didn't even look startled, even speaking a greeting. Q. The rosary was silent for a moment. Then it spoke. Listen to what this little one says. Now, hurry, before it's too late. Not even pausing to think about how strange the whole situation was, Mocha rushed back inside, heading in the direction of Sukune's blood scent. Sukune's POV. Wait. What was happening? A girl hadn't just stuffed his face into her boobs, had she? Kurumu breathed on his ear. It's okay now. It's okay. She pulled him out of her chest, and looked him in the eye, putting her charm ability to the max. She leaned in, ready to create her first follower in her harem. Breathing on his lips, she went for the finish. And leaned forward so far her ears were beside his. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't betray a certain someone. Forgive me. Kurumu didn't move. She had made it impossible to resist her, and yet. It's not fair. Her voice came out small and fragile. I did everything, even some things that were really embarrassing. And you still reject me. Before that Akashiya came here, I'd never lost before. If only that bitch wasn't here, I would have been a queen. Her voice shook, increasing in volume. And now I'm pissed. From Kurumu's back grew wings and her nails grew in size, becoming wickedly sharp. I'll destroy everything that she treasures. The door slammed open, revealing a tired Mocha. Hold it right there. Mocha shoved the succubus back, and with her natural vampiric strength, sent Kurumu hurtling out the window. Mocha-san. Sukune could only say her name. But Mocha shook her head. Please don't apologize to me. You were only under her spell, so it's not your fault. I'm sorry you got caught up in this. That girl is a succubus and wants to take revenge on me. Please get away while you can. As expected of a vampire, you are strong enough to push me this far. But now you're going to die. The succubus shot down, killing intent all too clear. She slashed the floor to bits, causing an explosion to propel human and vampire out the same hole in the wall. Mocha landed gracefully on her legs while Sukune's face was buried into the dirt. Kurumu gave another high-pitched laugh. You can't hope to beat me if this is all you can do. Setting her mouth into a hard line, Mocha yanked Sukune out. You have to take my seal off, or else we're doomed. I can't take it off myself. Hurry. Kurumu whizzed by, Mocha and Sukune barely managing to get out of the way in time. The trees behind them took the blow and were cut in half, falling to the ground with a crash. Now she can cut trees like it's nothing. Sukune screamed, but Mocha grabbed his shirt, forcing him to calm down. Kurumu wasn't nearly finished. She encircled them, lashing at the ground around them, creating a ring of dark gashes. She was enjoying playing with her prey. Everything will be fine if you take the seal off. Just do it. Galvanized into action, the human boy grabbed Mocha's rosary and pulled. Nothing happened. Why isn't it working? Sukune went back into a panic. Kurumu laughed again. What are you doing? Looks like Sukune's dead weight. I'm just going to kill you like this. Now her prey was terrified. She dove down for the kill. We're doomed. Goodbye, my life. I haven't said goodbye to my parents or my little sister. Sorry guys. Then a squishy feeling pressed his face. It was Mocha. Sukune is my precious friend. I won't abandon him. It has nothing to do with his blood. Sukune felt his eyes widen. Mocha was willing to protect a worthless human like him? No, this wasn't right. It was his fault for saying the things he had earlier. He must protect Mocha. Now, this thought in mind, he ripped the rosario off its choker. Kurumu's POV. Bats flapped past Kurumu, buffeting her in a storm of screeches and fur. In the midst of the flying mammals, was a vampire of silver hair and crimson eyes. Day turned to night, and Mocha spoke. Softly but full of menace. Foolish child, you dare attack my other half. Now, pay for your crimes. Spinning around and delivering a deadly roundhouse kick, Kurumu didn't even have enough time to draw breath before she was knocked aside. Smashing and destroying nearby trees, she managed to regain her balance and fly into the air. Where do you think you're going? Suddenly, Mocha was on top of the flying succubus and smashed her foot down. Kurumu was sent back to Earth, proving her powers off flight would be of no use to her. Weak, you're 100 years too early to be challenging me. Know your place. Raising her leg, Mocha swept her foot down. Thud, a blunt noise sounded. Mocha's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? Sukune stood in front of Kurumu, a shadow covering his face, and one arm held out to stop the kick. I'm sorry Mocha-san, but I cannot let you unnecessarily take a life. He stopped my kick. Kurumu was shocked and showed it. Why? Even though. Sukune turned to Kurumu, and her hand went to her mouth. His eyes. Why did they look like Mocha's? And where those whiskers? But before she could take a good look, he turned away. Mocha had seen the same thing, but when he faced her again, she wondered if she had been imagining it. I have feel that she didn't act this way purely for selfish reasons. I can't imagine a kind girl like her with such a black heart. Please forgive her, Mocha grunted, and turned her back to the human boy. Don't misunderstand. I simply didn't want my favorite blood to be stolen away from me, she smiled at Sukune. Off in the distance, booming blasted in the air. Lights fizzle and flashes of color sparked in the night sky. The three looked to the sky to see beautiful fireworks lighting the night. They all stared. The feeling of wonder and melancholy took over, quelling their previous anger and hostility. Q. Womp. Naruto leapt into Sukune's arms so hard, he knocked him over. The fox licked his face, yipping happily. Sukune laughed. Yeah buddy, I missed you too. He held him up by his forelegs as he loved and noticed something different about the little guy. He wasn't so little anymore. His whole body had grown out a bit, his tail more lush, eyes a little larger. In other words, he had grown bigger. Mocha took this opportunity to snatch back her rosary. Now I really must leave. My other side will suffer certain injuries of sorts if I stay out for too long. Goodbye Sukune. Thank you for tonight, Sukune Iono, Naru-chan. Attaching the trinket back to her choker, she sealed her powers and went to sleep. Mocha's POV. You heard a voice from your rosario? Sukune was incredulous. Naruto was fast asleep on his friend's head again. Does that mean the seal is weakening? Mocha didn't answer. Sukune swallowed and hurriedly finished his sentence. Well, even if that somehow does happen, I'll still like you. This comment stopped all other thoughts. Mocha-san, Sukune, what are you two doing? They jumped. It was Kurumu, holding basket of cookies tied with pink bows and decoration. Kurumu-san? What are you doing? Good morning you two. Sukune, would you like some cookies? Sukune hesitated, trying to figure out what sort of prank this was. Why? Kurumu blushed and clutched her cheeks. Do you two remember what I said about a succubi and destined one? Nod. Well, I decided that my destined one would be Sukune. After all, you did risk your life to save me. Sukune's POV. Sukune sprinted at top speed, but the two monster girls easily kept up. Sukune, hurry up and just marry me already. Kurumu-chan, you can't be serious. Sukune, do something about what this. Sukune just hoped that the guys in the school wouldn't kill him before the end of the day. Naruto muled, content with his current lifestyle. Soon he would grow up and have even more fun with Sukune, but for now, he had to wait for others. Sukune's POV. Are you sure about this, Sukune? Can I really? Mocha heaved heavily with excitement. Sukune, face mere centimeters away, nodded. Why yeah, go ahead. Mocha leaned forward, mouth ready to receive Sukune. I'm so happy, this is the first time. Mocha dipped down and bit his neck. The first time you let me suck your blood. Kapu tilde chew. Ah tilde. Mocha clutched her cheeks and blushed, her head bobbing back and forth, savoring the flavor. That was delicious. Thank you, Sukune. Groaning, Sukune accepted the compliment, lying lifeless on a nearby tombstone. Maybe offering his blood wasn't such good of an idea. Naruto popped his head from Sukune's pocket and chittered, laughing at his friend. Well, at least Mocha was happy, that made it worth it. Most of it anyway. He was always drained after getting his blood sucked for the rest of the day. Listen up, class. It's this time of year again. As this school's purpose of teaching you how to understand humans to blend in with them, we are having you join a club. A male raised his hand. Sensei? If we're trying to learn how to disguise ourselves, wouldn't you get an F in transforming? He pointed. The students all looked to see a tail sticking out from Ms. Nekanone's skirt. It's a tail. The whole class was silent. The teacher flashed her claws and swiped at the student's face. When she had bounced back to the front of the class, she had regained control of herself and no trace of cat parts were to be seen. Ahem. So does anyone have any questions? No? Good. Be sure to find a club you will enjoy attending. By the way, if anyone has the time, feel free to stop by the newspaper club which I am the advisor to. Flicking her wrists and gave a shameless meow. The whole class sweat dropped. No way would anyone visit that club after what just happened. Ding dong. Okay everyone, take the rest of the day off to search for the club that's perfect for you. Filing out of classroom, the students found the hallways filled with clubs advertising for new members. Mocha jumped up to Sukune and hopped onto his back. Sukune, let's find a club to play in. The boy nodded in agreement. Sure, where would you like to start first? Mocha pondered the question for a few seconds, but seeing something flash in the corner of her eyes, she immediately pointed in that direction. Ooh, what's that? Dragging the helpless human by the arm, Mocha ran to a display with a bunch of vials spurting out colored smoke. Shady-looking students hovered near the stand, observing any passers-bys that dared wander too close. Ah, Mocha, welcome to the chemistry club. A small midget with a mushroom-like haircut and spiral glasses spoke. He was holding a beaker with a suspicious-looking purple liquid. He stepped closer than Sukune would have preferred. Would you be interested in making potions with us? I promise that it's somewhat safe and you shouldn't be harmed. Plus, love potions work best in the spring. He hacked and coughed, and tried for a smile. Then he noticed Sukune and that smile wilted. I suppose you could join. His words died at the tip of his tongue. Naruto had jumped from his friend's pocket and stretched his body on the boy's head. The chemistry club member cried and pointed at Naruto. Hey, that's the shitty fox that blew up all the fireworks we had worked on. Fireworks? No way. Those couldn't have been yesterday's, could it? Then he directed his finger at Sukune. He's yours, isn't he? You're going to pay for that. Men. A troop of male nerds came from nowhere and surrounded Sukune and Mocha. We're going to die. The men slowly crept closer and closer and closer until... Oh, boys tilde. It was Kurumu. She was posing and suggestively touching specific pieces of clothing. The guys went wild and ran to the succubus in frenzy. Quickly, Sukune. Use this chance. The men that had enclosed the two had run to Kurumu and leaving them unchecked. Seizing the opportunity, Sukune grabbed Mocha and ran to the back of the school, which should have been empty. As soon as they opened the door, A hail of smoke and glass rained upon them. Sukune could feel his limbs weakening. There must have been some sort of paralysis concoction in there somewhere. Over there, get him, a voice called from behind them. Sukune tugged on Mocha's arm and ran to the side, hoping to go around the building, but the voices had been to close, they wouldn't make it. Click, swoosh, a pair of hands grabbed Sukune and yanked him back. An almost too familiar squishy feeling wrapped around his face. Shush, they'll find us if you say anything. Sukune slowly turned and checked his surroundings. He had apparently been snatched him into a dark room, Mocha beside him, with someone else covering her mouth, but he could worry about that later. In front of him was a door with a translucent screen on the upper half and a muffled voice could be heard yelling. They went this way, hurry up. A bunch of shadows rushed past the screen, carrying pitchforks, spears and other weapons. Where had they gotten those? Letting out a breath, Sukune pushed away from the arms that had held him and said, "Thank you for helping us, but we really should be." The figure that had been holding shoved him down and hushed him again. The light falling through the glass was barely enough to see another beautiful ocean-haired woman in a bikini, and this time she was sitting on his face. Sukune's nose would have exploded with blood had he been able to breathe. Thump! A dark shadow slammed against the glass, causing Sukune's heart to skip a beat. He wasn't there, he wasn't there, he wasn't there. The shadow peered for a second longer, then faded away. Another minute passed before the girl deemed it safe to speak. "Well, I'm glad that's over with. Are you two okay?" Her voice was a soothing relief from the men's usually gravelly tones. But the thought that this beautiful woman had just sat on him. Blood threatened to spill out. When Sukune didn't say anything, the girl laughed. "It's fine, that mob should be long gone now. They wouldn't dare come here." Sukune dared not speak. The threat of drowning them everyone here was all too possible. Thankfully, Mocha bowed and raised her voice instead. "Thank you for saving us, but who are you exactly?" The lights flickered on and Sukune finally got a good look at the two. Both were females. The one who had held Mocha was a pretty black-haired girl, with a pair of goggles strapped to her forehead, and a standard school swimsuit. Those nerds are always sensitive about whoever sees their secret ingredients. "I'm Ren Yamami, and this is Tamao Senpai, captain of the swim club we're both in." Bowing, the club captain said, "Nice to meet the both of you. As Ren-chan has said, I am Tamao Ichino's." A light bulb lit inside Sukune's head, as an idea formed in his mind. "Would you allow us to join your club?" The two girls looked surprised. Ren pulled Sukune aside and gave him a mischievous smile. "I know boys like you. You seem honest enough, but in reality you're all perverts. You just want to see your girlfriend in a swimsuit, huh?" Grinning sheepishly, Sukune rubbed his head and nodded. The girl let out a laugh and grinned with him. "It's okay, no problem. Lust is just a part of evolution, you know, nothing to be ashamed about." Ren skipped back to her captain and whispered a few words. Tamao gave a small giggle of her own and whispered something back. Clapping her hands, the captain smiled. "All right then, both of you can join the swimming club. We look forward to swimming with you." Mocha tugged on Sukune's sleeve. The human looked at her, confused. Why did she look so nervous? Sukune, shouldn't we look at all the clubs before we decide or something? But all the other clubs would be like the chemistry club, or we couldn't really enter them together. In the swim club, we can play in the water all we want. Tamao interrupted by taking Sukune's arm and wrapping it in her own, toting the human to a changing room. "Details, details, details," the swim captain dragged him. "It doesn't matter. Just get changed quickly, okay? There should be a couple of men's swimsuits in there somewhere. And Mocha dear, you can just change in here. We'll be waiting for you in the swimming pool, okay?" The door closed and Sukune began his search for the articles of clothing, cheering himself with his fantasies of Mocha in swimwear. Mocha's POV. Ooh, that's Sukune. Mocha was watching Sukune get all cozy with the swim club president, cheeks puffed, seething with jealousy. Why did Sukune have to join the swimming club of all clubs? She had been sitting there watching Sukune being instructed by another rather good-looking girl. For a good half an hour, Mocha couldn't bear it anymore. The vampire used her monstrous strength and demolished the table she had been sitting at into a crumpled heap. Everyone swimming in the pool turned their heads and watched Mocha storm off. "You just came here to flirt with all the other women, didn't you?" "I'm leaving, Mocha-san, Mocha-san." Sukune called for Mocha, pushing away from his swimming helper, but she ignored his pleas. Tamao didn't move, hanging back to see how this all played out. Wait, Mocha-san, you don't understand. I just wanted to swim with you. Mocha's face darkened and she shouted back. No, it's you who doesn't understand. I can't. Droplets of water rained upon the vampire's face, flinching backwards, covering her face. I don't mind if you come to visit and watch, but I hate watching such petty fights. Contrary to her words, Tamao was smilingly broadly, but that smile never met her eyes. If you two are really a couple, then one of you should have stolen the other's heart by now. Mocha stared at her hands, the stains apparent. No, water. She bolted from the spot. Anyone dumb enough to stand in her way sent flying. Mocha-san? Sukune reached for her fading figure, but Tamao wrapped her arms around him, blocking him from following. Forget her for now, Sukune-san. She just needs some time to think. Why don't we swim and wait for her? Dejectedly, Sukune dipped his head in acknowledgement and went back to his lessons. In her favorite spot in the quiet graveyard, Mocha leaned on the balls of her feet in a curled position, face in her arms. Fool, what were you doing so close to a pool? Mocha lifted her face, scrutinizing the rosary. It was speaking again. You know what happens when we vampires come in contact with water. What were you thinking? Just for a stupid human. This is my body too. Should you be harmed, I will also suffer the consequences. As if her words carried magic in them, electrical flickers sparked along her body. No, a whisper of a word. What? No, I hate this body. Why am I so different? I want to swim with Sukune too. Her life essence cascaded from her eyes, gushing without restraint. Mocha peered at the little fox through her tears. As always, the mammal was there when she needed her. Always. His tongue wiped the traces of liquid from her cheeks. Naruto-chan? Mocha hugged Naruto tightly and cried into his fur, and Naruto laid his head over her shoulder, consoling her like only a small furry silent friend could. Mocha's POV. Naruto-chan, what should I do? I'm sure Sukune hates me. Mocha was still leaning on a tombstone, in a crouched position poking the ground. Naruto blinked. No, I don't think you'll like that. That's too embarrassing. Something a little less dramatic. Mocha sobbed into her arms. I'm so desperate. I'm even asking Naruto-chan for help. Naruto placed a paw on her forehead. A rattling sound shook, and Mocha peeked at her rosary. What do you want? Pathetic. Stop crying, child, it's sad. Get up, dump the boy, and move on in life. But I can't. Sukune was my first ever friend. I can't just leave him like that. Naruto's head perked up, ears twitching. Then he hopped off Mocha's arms and dashed away, yipping loudly. Naruto-chan? Mocha's eyes followed Naruto as he sped off, losing him around the building. Slapping her face, shaking her head, she got up, and gripped her fists, determination flaring. Naruto-chan is right. Stop thinking and just go back to him. The rosary heaved a sigh. Fine, do what you wish. I still say you should dump him though. Mocha gave a smile that conveyed no amusement. Oh, I won't to be that harsh. But he might have a couple bruises at the end. The rosary grunted approvingly. Sukune's POV. As the human boy viewed the scene of many happy men and women playing in unison, the scene was suddenly less appealing than it had been minutes before. Sukune couldn't take it anymore. Senpai? I'm really sorry, but I can't stay in the club anymore. Thank you for teaching me for so long. Tamao didn't seem to mind. Ah well, I suppose it can't be helped. Go on, run to Mocha-san. Appreciating her understanding, Sukune treaded over to the step ladder to haul himself out. And was immediately towed back into the water. Did you really expect it to be so easy? Naive. You are mine, Sukune, and I'll be sure never to make you angry like that vampire. She spat at the name of Mocha's species like it left a bad taste in her mouth. For some reason, this angered Sukune more than he would have thought, and later on, he wouldn't have a clue as to why he had gotten so mad. Silence. A booming voice that couldn't have been his reverberated from his throat. How dare you insult Mocha-san? You are a mere mermaid. Pondweed. Vanish from my sights, vermin. Tamao's eyes widened. Then she hissed and her monster surfaced. Gills flapped at her neck, and her legs melded together into one, fins wiggling about. Her mouth unhinged and widened 3 times a human's and revealed 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth. Well then, I'll just have to suck your energy and force you to join me. She flung herself to 3 other unsuspecting males, bit into their flesh, and made deep sucking grinding voice. "Girls, time for lunch." The other females in swimsuits cheered and they too became their scaly half-fish selves, chomping at the nearest boy available. "Sukune, what's happening?" Sukune whirled about, spotting Mocha at the other side of the pool. Tamao leapt out of the water and went for the vampire. "You're mine," she screeched. The mermaids circled around Sukune, not letting him close, and suddenly the water was far too uncomfortable. Damn it, he wouldn't make it in time. Wham! Everyone, including Mocha herself, looked shocked, as her fist connected with the president's face and sent her flying to the other side of the pool, splitting water in half and smashing against the stone. The water covered Tamao, and Mocha gasped. "Did I really just do that?" Sukune frowned. Hadn't that been self-defense? The mermaids spotted their chance, using the distraction to try draining the last boy. The majority of them were knocked back, however, as the boy proved to be more than a match. Slamming into their vital areas with unbelievable speed and accuracy, he attacked with the ferocity of a demon. But the water slowed his actions and splashed at his eyes, so a few mouths managed to tear at Sukune's skin, but they immediately fell off, the overdose of energy feedback rendering them unconscious. Soon, the remainders of the mermaids had been sent to sleep. Sukune panted, barely conscious as his efforts were becoming more strained with every movement. He let the water sweep him over his body, and saw a stream of light filter through the water. Mocha's POV. Sukune. Mocha was torn. What could she do? He was drowning, but she couldn't go. The water would. She touched the waves with her fingertips and was met with an electrical shock. Blip, bloop. A bubble popped. No more urging was necessary. Mocha awkwardly dived into the water, and the pain begun. Tendrils of electricity curled and twisted with the vampire's body, as the purification properties of water ate at Mocha's very being. Just a little more. She could see Sukune. He was lying down, arms by his side and looking like a corpse. "No, that won't happen. I won't let it happen," but there was a problem. And that particular problem's name was Tamao. "Oh, no you don't. He's mine." Mocha would have understood, even if she couldn't hear her. She could make it. Tamao was still a ways away, and... But Mocha had forgotten. Tamao was still a mermaid, injured or not, she could still swim much faster than a vampire. Determined, Mocha kept swimming and ignoring the pain, almost there. Gurgle, glup, platch. Kyurg, kyurg. Naruto was with Sukune, trying to stay with his friend, but the waves were unrelenting and swept him away, right into Mocha's arms. Surprised, the girl grabbed Naruto out of instinct. But this interrupted the rhythm, the vampire's awkward doggy paddle. At this point, Tamao had closed the distance to Sukune and her, and would soon get to him. Mocha could either reach Sukune and propel herself off Naruto, or... "Forgive me Sukune." Mocha wrapped Naruto in her arms, protecting him to the last moment before she herself was eaten. Snap! A blast of energy created a geyser, blasting away all the water, efficiently emptying the pool. "Foolish boy. I shall punish you thoroughly later." Naruto lay vibrating in her arms, but due to being cold, fear, or lack of breath, the S-class monster did not know. She wiped the droplets of raining water off his sleek fur, and set him on Sukune's chest. "Thank you for releasing me. Stay here. It's not safe with corrupted fish flopping all over the place. Die vampire." Tamao lunged for the silver-haired woman now standing in front of her. She had just dunked her body in water, there was no way she would be strong enough to. Crack. Apparently not. Tamao was once again slammed in the same spot on her face, only this time with a foot. One punch from a vampire was strong enough, but a second kick was devastating. The president was sent rocketing away, a blinking light in the heavens. "Know your place," she huffed, trying to lick the blood off her fingers. Turning back to the human, and spat to her side, kicking his body. Sukune coughed and water spurted forth from his mouth. You made my inner self cry, you know. I cannot forgive you for that. Vampires hate water. It's a natural purifier that harms our bodies, and you made her jump into the goddamn pool. I do not have enough time to deal with you, but when I next get the chance, you will pay." Hooking her rosary back on, her inner self came back in a blast of red. "Oh no." Sukune, inner side back in control, she covered his body with her own. Naruto coughed, and Mocha retracted quickly. "Ah, I'm so sorry Naru-chan." Mocha noticed there was something wrong with the little fox. His fur was wet and tingling with electricity, just as she had been. When she tried to comfort the mammal, he weakly lifted his head and licked the blood on her hand. Mocha almost started to cry again. He was still trying to help her, even now. Using the monstrous strength granted to her, she easily hoisted Sukune up, along with Naruto's limp frame, heading to the nurse's office. Sukune's POV. Great. It was the third time he had been here in the span of a couple days. The school infirmary's ceiling towered above him, as white and plain as ever. The bed seemed too large for one person alone. Sukune? Said person sat up and looked to his right. Mocha was holding Naruto was in her arms, shivering and pelt slick with sweat. I'm so glad you're awake. Since you're human, I didn't know if you would get better in time. Sukune cut her off and hugged her. Mocha was so shocked she almost dropped Naruto. Su-kun? The human buried his face in her shoulder. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about vampires and water, and I even made you suffer for it. I'm sorry. Expression settling, Mocha rubbed the boy's head with one hand, hushing him silently. It's all right now, Sukune, I don't mind. You're my friend, aren't you? And you even saved me. Forget about it. But still, no buts. Drop it, or I'll never forgive you. Sukune gave a sad smile. You could teach a donkey a lesson in stubbornness. Mocha punched him in the gut, and Sukune nearly fell back into unconsciousness. There, I was planning to do that later, but now seemed right. The little fox cried out in pain, and shrunk in size. Naruto turned an even paler shade of yellow, so light it was starting to look like white. Naru-chan? Naru-chan. Sukune could only watch, helpless, not knowing how to help his friend. Where was the stupid nurse when you needed her? Mocha gasped and Sukune returned his attention away from his thoughts. Sukune, look, the scroll that had Naruto's name written on it was laid out, unfurled on the bed. And on it was written, "Help, blood, what should we do?" Sukune asked, trying to make sense of the words. Mocha was silent, but then she said in a voice barely a murmur. I could give him mine. Sukune stared at Mocha. What? We vampires have the ability to inject blood in others, but it's never been tried on animals before, so I don't know if. Flash. Naruto was wrapped in a soft light, which floated him a few inches off the vampire's lap. He was getting smaller and paler, and his breathing was getting more and more ragged. If they didn't act now. Sick. Sukune grabbed a nearby knife, and slashed his palm, blood trickling down his arm. Mocha was horrified. What are you doing? He needs blood, right? Then I'll give him mine. Mocha grabbed his hand. No, I'll do it. It's too dangerous for you. He's not an ordinary fox. You should have realized that by now. I'll give it to him. He's probably a child yokai. My blood is less likely to be rejected. No, Sukune gave Mocha a look that showed no hesitation. I'm going to do this. But Sukune, you can't. Naruto shrieked in pain, shivering and writhing violently. Well, do it together then. He grabbed her bleeding hand in his, and Mocha agreed. Fine, but do it quickly. Acknowledging Mocha, Sukune thrust his hand at Naruto's mouth and felt that small, rough, wet feeling brush against his palm. Boom. Sukune's POV. Soku tilde ne. A heavy feeling attacked him, sending him to the floor. The feeling was as squishy and soft as ever, immediately identifying itself as Kurumu's bust. What are you doing, Tilda? Sukune's sight and breath was cut off, and was starting to suffocate. Mocha's voice dimly muffled. Ah, Kurumu, what are you doing? We don't have time for that right now. He could just hear Kurumu stick her tongue at the vampire. There's always time for me and my destined one. Right, Sukune tilde. Noticing there was no reply, the succubus momentarily removed him from his prison. And saw a half-dead man. Oh no, who did this to you, darling? Mocha stamped her feet, yelling at her love rival. What are you talking about? It was obviously you who did this. Kurumu dropped the corpse and faced Mocha. Huh, what are you talking about? It was obviously you who sucked his blood out in the morning. Sparks flew between the two as they glared at each other, neither one backing down. Mocha-san, what about Naruto? Mocha blinked, the realization in her eyes confusing her opponent. Oh, he's. The pair turned to the dust cloud settling over the bed that had been summoned from the explosion. For a second, nothing happened. Then Kurumu got bored of waiting for dirt to fall. Beating her wings, she sent a steady breeze to brush aside the grime. And behind it was nothing. Era? The trio said in unison. What were you looking for, darling? Kurumu asked. That's so weird. He was just here. Mocha muttered to herself. Could he have died? Q. Naruto mobbed his human friend from the back of the head. The girls squealed and ran to Sukune's little attacker. Naru-chan. Cute furry thing. The girls fought over the mammal, grabbing Naruto and hugging him tightly. Naruto seemed to be enjoying the attention, but poor Sukune was still lying on the floor. After the girls got over Naruto, they helped Sukune to his feet. Sukune held his little buddy by his forelegs, and Sukune spotted a difference in the little guy. Naruto had gone from golden to orange, and his tail swept in his face, puffier than he had last felt. That was all. Energetic as usual, he hopped back to his usual place atop Sukune's head. Q. Were you two looking for him? Mocha was about to answer when Sukune cut in. His name is Naruto, okay? And yeah, we were, but here he is, so it's okay now. Thanks for helping Kurumu. I appreciate it. Mocha looked puzzled but bit back her lip and didn't say anything. Kurumu didn't see, and whistled a sharp note. Oh, I'm so glad I could help you, Sukune. So anyway, if we've finished everything here, can we head back to the dorms? I'll even walk with you, Sukune smiled. Sure, that sounds great. Kurumu flew in circles with joy. For a few seconds, Sukune taking this as an advantage, shooting Mocha a look that said, "Not now. Later." Sorry, Mocha smiled back. It's okay. Then her smile shadowed. But if you keep silent. Sukune forced his smile to stay on his face. Oh, of course. Mocha's POV. I just need to go to the bathroom, okay? Please wait for me, darling Tilda. Walking away with a hop in her step, and the minute she was out of earshot, Mocha approached Sukune. So why stop me from telling her about Naru-chan? Doesn't she have a right to know? Sukune sighed. I am not even sure myself. I just have this strong feeling that if we tell her, something will go terribly wrong. I just feel it. Sorry, Mocha-san. I know this is really rude to ask you of this, but please keep this a secret between us. Mocha stiffly nodded, turning to hide the blush that had rose at the words, a secret between us. And it was well she did so, because at that next moment, Nekonomiya-sensei rounded the corner and meowed in surprise. What are you two doing here? Haven't you gone home like the other students? Or have you not yet chosen a club? Relieved at having an excuse already being set up for him, Sukune shook his head. Their teacher meowed again and jumped. That's great. How about joining the newspaper club then? If we can't find enough members, that'll be a problem. So, will you two join? Sukune was about to answer in the negative, not wanting to become a member of the club that his teacher was advising. But Kurumu flew from nowhere and tackled him before the words left his mouth. Oh yes, we'll join. All three of us. Ms. Nekonome cheered. Great. Then come tomorrow to the club room, and I'll introduce you to the club president. Nya Tilda, this is going to be so fun. She skipped away happily, her mood allowing her feline features to show. Sukune really hoped that the president was a nice guy. Sukune's POV. Sukune, Mocha, and Kurumu sat in an abandoned classroom, waiting for their teacher to arrive. As usual, Naruto was peacefully sleeping on his friend's head. Wonder what this president person is going to be like, Sukune said aloud. Mocha and Kurumu nodded in agreement. Well, I just hope there'll be a lot of stuff to do. Kurumu huffed. Mocha put a finger to her chin. But isn't this person the only remaining member of the newspaper club? Silence. This fact only served to make the other two more nervous. That was the moment Nekonome-sensei decided to open the door. Yahoo Tilda everyone. Today is a very special day. Why? Because the newspaper club is back. And now, I shall introduce the oldest member and president of the newspaper club. Stepping to the side, she waved her hands and a boy about Sukune's age stepped in. He was quite handsome, with slick black hair, red headband, and deep black eyes. He wore the standard male uniform, but the tie was missing. In its place was a pendant of a wolf's head. Yo, hello everyone. How's it going? Name's Gaine Morioka. Call me Jin. Kurumu grinned, friendly and unbashful as ever. Mocha gave a somewhat shy wave, and Sukune smiled as well. But the Kurumu's naturally noisy voice woke Naruto, and like a grumpy grandpa, he lashed out at the first unlucky target that chanced upon his vision. Jin, ouch. Naruto bit the handsome club president in the finger. He tried to shake him off, but Naruto wouldn't let go. Naruto, what are you doing, bad boy? Sukune finally managed to pry the fox off after a minute, but even then Naruto continued to bare his teeth at Jin. Trying to break the ice, Mocha forced a smile and clapped her hand. Anyway, my name is Mocha. Please take care of us, Jin-senpai. Mocha said. Kurumu and Sukune followed suit. After everyone had introduced themselves, she asked, so what are we going to do today? Jin flashed a pained, but still somewhat charming smile at Mocha. Well, I think we should just start small. Since we're all gonna meet here from now on, why don't we make it look nicer? He opened a closet door and pulled out a bunch of Windex and cloths. Handing them to Mocha and Kurumu, he said, here you are, can you start with the area above the chalkboard? Nobody ever wipes there. Sukune hesitantly raised his hand. Jin-senpai? What about me? Oh yeah, you need something to do too. Could you clean out the closet? We need everything to be in tip-top shape. I'll be wiping the floor. Sukune agreed, and set to work, digging out all the junk, putting it in one pile, then organizing all the things he thought they would use later, but most of it went in the, what the heck is this, pile. Naruto played in the back of the closet, falling into cardboard boxes and getting caught up in shirts or pants. For a newspaper room closet, there were a bunch of clothes. Jin-senpai? No response. Jin-senpai? Still no response. Jin-senpai. Sukune looked up, to see his senior sitting down, towel carelessly thrown to the side, watching Kurumu and Mocha wiping the board. Sukune sighed and walked over to Jin. Jin-sem, he froze. Following his eyes, Sukune saw what his senpai was looking at. The girls were reaching to wipe the uppermost parts of the wall, and they had to stand on their tippy toes to do so. That and their short skirts was a window of perverted opportunity. Now, it was both Jin and Sukune staring at their undergarments. Damn, that's fine. Jin trailed off. Sukune stared for a second longer. This was too good a chance to pass up. Then Naruto spat and attacked Jin. Hey you stupid! Rolling on the floor, Naruto attempted to claw at his eyes, the commotion beckoning the attention of Mocha and Kurumu. Ah, Naruto, what are you? Sukune, if you really wanted to see my panties, I'll show you myself. Mocha's blood rushed to her face as she tried to cover her underpants with her skirt somewhat unsuccessfully. Sukune, jumping down, Mocha stared a death glare at the human. She grabbed Naruto with such force, even Naruto himself was surprised, and announced it with a squeak of indignation, but immediately his eyes and ears fell when he was what kind of mood Mocha was in. Hentai. Slap. Mocha stomped out of the room, leaving the others to try to pull Sukune's head from the ceiling. Mocha's POV. Oh no, this is so embarrassing. Did he really see? Which one am I wearing anyway? It wasn't that frilly one, was it? Oh, this is so embarrassing. Glancing around to make sure nobody else was watching her, she carefully lifted her skirt and leaned down. Exactly what are you doing? Mocha yelped, jumping with her back sticking straight. A moment later, a couple fat boys walked around the corner, not really trying to hide the perverted stares they were giving. Nothing. It was the voice. Nothing at all. Of course, yep, the voice didn't believe her. Anyway, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Mocha made sure those boys weren't still there, and cupped the rosary to her ear. Do not trust that Jin person. He doesn't smell right. I don't trust him, and you would do well to feel the same as there's something I don't like about him. Mocha tightened her fist. The rosary had been right every other time, so she should trust it. But this was Jin-senpai, their club president, but then again, she didn't really know him all that well. She sighed. She would be careful, but for now, she really just wanted to go to sleep. Jin's paw. A shadow loomed over the school rooftop, its presence scaring off animals and insects, dominating over its territory. The owner of the shadow swished his tail back and forth, the shadow copying the movements exactly. A sharp claw picked at even sharper teeth. Damn, she's definitely worthy of being mine. I will be sure to make her mine. Standing on his hind legs, he howled at the moon, a feral, wild, unchallenged roar. He laughed, and laughed, until he ran out of breath. In the next instant, he shot to the door, at the opposite side of the roof, almost breaking the speed of sound. He probably could have if he had wanted to. Smashing the wall, he attacked the presence he had sensed. But when the rubble fell, there was nothing. except a piece of orange hair lying under the rocks. But he swore he heard the laughter of a child, the laughter of mockery and insanity. It seemed there was a grinning fox in the night. Sukune's POV. Sukune sat on the stairs as she thought about his life and his problems. He was tired from being continuously drained by Mocha, and she was unrelenting. He really couldn't refuse her requests. He sighed. "Hey, Sukune." A voice called out to him, the warm afternoon seeming to stretch out the words. "Oh, good morning Jin-senpai." The club president raced to catch up with him. He stopped, leaning down to catch his breath. "You sure like to get up early in the morning, don't you?" Sukune stared. Senpai? It's already lunch." Jin shrugged. Whatever. I think I just like to sleep in. So, since it's already lunchtime, we'll have our second meeting outside. Come on, we should go first. Jin walked to the edge of the building, then asked without looking. Are you coming or what? Mocha's POV. There really was no comparison. Sukune's blood was so much better than tomato juice. It was also a very nutritious breakfast. Maybe I should go ask for more? But wouldn't that be rude? But it's so delicious. She stood where she was, pondering her options, when Naruto, who had just been lying on her shoulder, hissed and spat. Mocha followed the fox's gaze, and saw Jin and Sukune walking side by side, to the back of the school. Now why would they go and do that? She wondered aloud. Naruto kept up his fit, so Mocha made the decision to go after them. It wouldn't hurt to just go and see what they were doing, patting Naruto's head in an effort to try to calm him down. Mocha hurried after the boys. Jin's POV. While on the outside he looked calm and collected, whistling to the afternoon sun. Inside he was laughing manically to himself, marveling his genius. I'm such a genius for thinking of this plan. It's so simple, why didn't I think of this before? Mocha will be all mine, and Sukune will never again be a problem. Senpai? Where are we going? Jin coughed and straightened out his thoughts, forcing himself to concentrate. Oh, just to one of the meeting spots. I already told Kurumu and Mocha the location, and they said they would catch up later, he said in what he thought was a reassuring tone, but it didn't look as if his junior was really buying it. Aha! Here we are, coming to a halt. Jin stopped in the middle of the two school buildings, an alleyway, right underneath a window. Jin faked a yawn and stretched his arms. Well, since we're going to be waiting for a couple minutes, Sukune, as the only other male member of the club, man to man, I want to show you something. He gestured for Sukune to come closer, and pointed at a drum lying on the ground. Step on that, and look through that window. I promise you'll enjoy what you see. Hesitantly, with a few more encouraging gestures from Jin, finally caving to curiosity, Sukune stepped onto the drum and peered through the window. His reaction was a mix of fear, awe, surprise, and enjoyment. Behind the wall, behind the pane of glass, was the girls' changing room, already filled with half-naked women. Snap! Sukune fell of the drum, hand clenching his nose to keep himself from losing any more blood. What? Jin was holding one of the older cameras, the ones that had their photos developed by the camera. He picked up the photo and smirked, holding it up for Sukune to see. What do you think? Pretty good quality, huh? Let's hope so everyone can see that Sukune was peeping in on the girls' change room. Oh, the horror! Sukune couldn't speak, partly from the blood, and partly from shock. But Jin didn't need to be a genius to guess what he was thinking. Why, you ask? Well, that's easy. When I put this picture all over the school, even if you don't immediately get expelled from the school, with your reputation of being that one bastard who first met Mocha, it'll spread like wildfire, and nobody, and I mean nobody, will trust you again. Mocha won't even look at you, and I'll be there, with her to shove it in your face. Jin held a hand to his face, howling with laughter. Sukune's POV. Sukune sat there, realizing the full severity of the situation. If that was true, he imagined Kurumu, but more importantly Mocha's reaction to the news. They would be angry, ashamed, and most likely not believe a word he said afterwards. Their backs turned to him, while the other students lined up the hallway, laughing, jeering, whispering, hating. What was stopping him from tearing his senpai apart right now? Why didn't he just kill him? Nobody would ever know. Nobody would ever see. Then this would have never happened. They could have been attacked by something. And only Sukune barely survived because of a selfless sacrifice from Jin, with no one the wiser. Yes, do it now. I can't do something as horrible as that. What am I saying? But, it's the safest way. No, I can't. What was he thinking? Jin cupped a hand to his ear. What did you say? No? You're in no position to say anything. Sukune's rage boiled inside, churning, angry at Jin's arrogant manner. Just because you're a monster? Jin's paused. So what do you have to say now, you stupid? Wham! Without warning, Jin found his sight reddening, almost blacking out, coughing blood from his lips. He nearly choked. What? Sukune was standing over him, and he was smiling. Jin shivered. That smile revealed a demon that was about to play. Sukune held up the photo, totally unblemished, despite the ruckus he had caused. That kind of speed should have been impossible in human form. Surprised? How does it feel to suddenly be at the bottom of the food chain? Not very nice, huh? We don't need this thing anymore, do we? The photo flashed in flame and Sukune held it under Jin's nose. Poof! Hey look, it's gone. Sukune giggled like a little girl, scaring Jin even further. Had he broken? Hey, that's rude, I'm not crazy, Sukune sighed. And there's the part when you stutter and no, of course not. Well, that's the last thing you'll ever think. Without a twitch of change in his facial expression, as if he were bored, he raised his fists, and with the speed he showed from earlier, Jin knew he would not survive. But the blow never struck. Sukune's fist was shaking, unable to decide in which direction to go, a millimeter from Jin's face. Go. Now, he didn't have to say any more. Jin scampered off, hate and jealousy already curdling, but his intuition told him not to push it just now. Sukune's POV. Sukune fell to his knees, holding his hands, rocking back and forth, tears threatening to fall from his face. What did I just do? Was that really me? Sukune? What are you doing here? Sukune looked up to see Kurumu, and he stared into her eyes. Then he hugged her close and sobbed into her shoulder. Startled at first, Kurumu settled into a comfortable position and rubbed her destined one's back gently. Sob, 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 Jin's paw. Damn it. He hadn't really hurt Jin, but although he still hated the boy, in the deepest depths of his minds, he was afraid of him. The speed he had shown just now was, almost like, he could be, it's possible. But one day, I'll get you back, you little brat. Jin had retreated to the place where he could feel at peace, the rooftop. Mulling and muttering over his defeat, he kept walking in circles, trying to find the best way to kill this nuisance. It was already late in the afternoon with the sky was darkening, but the moon shed enough light to see fine, and still sore from his utter loss, he hadn't gone home, just staying on top of the roof and ranting till his throat was sore. Knock, knock. Jin turned around, and kicked the person who had dared to interrupt his rants. Oh. It was Mocha, and that stupid fox. Was he smiling? Jin regained his composure, and slicked his hair back. Oh, Mocha. Hey, what's up? What are you doing here? Mocha tilted her head and gave a sideways smile. Oh, nothing much. What are you doing? Jin smiled. He could reveal it now. His camera always printed 2 pictures, not just one, and that brat had only destroyed one. Always have a backup, that was his motto. And it had paid off. Well, Mocha, I'm afraid I have some bad news. It's about Sukune. Mocha's smile didn't waver. What is it? I'm sure Sukune didn't do anything wrong. Jin shook his head. Victory was near. I'm afraid. Sukune is actually a pervert. A friend of mine took a picture of him while he was peeping on the girls' change room. I'm sorry. Jin took out the picture from his shirt pocket and handed it to Mocha. She stared at it for a couple seconds, and Jin was keeping himself from moving in and hugging her when she started to feel betrayed, just yet. He waited with bated breath for the moment her smile dropped. And waited, and waited. Mocha's POV. Mocha's smile grew when she saw the picture. The fool. Jin was really desperate, wasn't he? So willing to just get rid of Sukune just like that. Mocha held the picture up for Naruto to get a good look at it. Naruto chirruped and twirled in a circle. Yes, Naru-chan, it's Sukune. The shock in Jin's voice was evident. That's it? Aren't you angry at all? He's a huge perv. You slapped him just for looking at your underwear. Mocha's smile just grew larger. Oh, but weren't you the one who tricked him into looking in the first place? You really need to think these things through. Sukune is much too innocent for that. Jin desperately tried to bluff his way out. What are you talking about, Mocha-san? I did no such. Mocha jabbed a finger in his face. Don't lie to me, I was right there, and I saw everything. Slowly, Jin let down his poker face. I see. Ah well, couldn't be helped. But you should still see how much a wimp that boy is. I have good looks and charms. While he's scrawny and awkward, Mocha's smile was still plastered on her face, but she raised an eyebrow. Oh, scrawny? You mean the way he beat you down and had you at your mercy? I must say I quite enjoyed that. Jin snarled and stamped his foot. Shut up, I didn't lose. I just let him beat you down? That was the final straw. Beautiful or not, Jin would never allow such insults pass. Wrong choice of words. Jin's fangs, claws, and fur sprouted from his body. His heartbeat slowed, and he could see the rise and fall of Mocha's chest, to the lines of fabric sewn into her uniform. His human form gone, in its place was a werewolf. It wasn't the full moon, but it was enough to take care of her. His claws shined as it reflected the moon's brilliance, and he made sure it wouldn't kill. But when his swipe passed, he hadn't felt anything, and there was nothing there. Looking for something, big guy? You missed by a mile. Jin bared his fangs, and turned behind him. Mocha had landed on the cover of the roof, where behind the door the stairs led. I'll show you what real power looks like. Mocha's smile turned cold. It didn't move an inch, but lost any warmth, faked or not. Then her eyes rolled back, and she fell. Jin's gentlemanly manners kicked in, and he sped to her side, about to catch her. Smack! For the second time in the span of hours, he found himself flying to the side, a blow he had not detected until after it had struck. Skidding over the roof like a skipping stone, Jin bounced and hurtled to the very edge. Hopping back to his feet, Jin's eyes flicked from corner to corner, attempting to locate his attacker. He found Shadow, disappeared, reappeared at the other end of the roof, and punctured a hole straight through him. He fell limp, and Jin smirked. Nobody could stand against his might. Playing with dolls, are you? Jin swung his legs behind him, but they were caught. He twisted his head around, and the moon finally peeked out of her clouded cloak, shedding just enough light for Jin's wolfish eyes to see. And his assailant was a little blonde boy, with an orange jumpsuit, and an insane grin that meant trouble. Ah, I just love the smell of fresh air. I haven't used this nose in quite a while. Naruto's paw. Naruto took a deep breath, and raised his arms, letting go of Jin's legs. Jin flipped away, trying to get some distance between him and this young boy. He was still in human form, yet he had been able to stop a werewolf's attacks? Jin's brain screaming at him that something was wrong, and that he should retreat immediately. Where the hell did you come from? And what are you doing on Yokai Academy's school grounds? We aren't so weak as to be invaded by a single being. The blonde yawned, as if bored. What's wrong with me being here? I'm a student too, you know. I learn what you do, have lunch when you do, and usually leave school when you do. Jin made a slash mark inches away from the boy's feet. Cross that line, and I'll consider it an attack, the child laughed. And yet you were oh so eager to run away a few seconds earlier. Do you still not recognize me? Let me give you a hint. Devilishly handsome, cute as hell, and a fan of orange? Ring any bells? Or how about this? I hate you, stupid dogs. Jin yelped in pain as agony washed itself over Jin's hand. Right where that little fox had bitten him. No way, you couldn't be that stupid little fox. His smile mouth froze. Jin shielded his face and prepared himself for the oncoming attack he knew would be about to hit. So is that how I'm treated in this world? Disgraceful. Absolutely despicable. I should teach you your place, dog. Jin didn't move his hands, but his fear was almost uncontrollable. He wanted to run, he wanted to surrender, and beg for forgiveness. He wanted to wait. His scent had vanished. Jin waited moments more, but there really was no more smell. He had gone. He had really gone. Jin was almost in tears with relief. He lowered his arms and... No. He was standing, right there. He hadn't moved. His scent was gone, he could hear no heartbeat, but he was right there. See? Now you can look at me. Look at me. The blonde nearly screamed the last part, and an evil wave of premonition, aura, and killing intent washed over Jin. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I shall not be treated as some low-born fox. Unable to do anything, Jin just cowered and shivered. There was no way to oppose him, no way to win, no way to escape, and no way to survive. But wait, there was. A faint glimmer of hope. The full moon had shown herself. Now it was time for him to fight back. Jin flexed his claws. They were sharp and ready for action. Giving Naruto a special, asshole, grin, he disappeared, and reappeared behind him, and slashed his body to bits. But there was no blood, no nothing. It had happened again. You are a bad dog. I'm going to have to punish you. Naruto kicked him into the starry sky, and flew after him. Jin's face was going to peel off if he went any faster, and when Naruto was on top of him, the blonde grinned, not minding they were hundreds of feet in the air, falling just as fast. You should feel honored. I normally wouldn't waste chakra on the likes of you, but you really need to know who your master is. Oh, since we're in the air, how about a Chidori? Nah, that's too much for you. Never mind, I won't even need a technique. Naruto raised his hand, and the clouds shot tendrils of lightning that wrapped around it. Night doggy. Hopefully you'll feel somewhat better in the morning. Or not, slamming his open palm around the furry beast. Naruto sent the force of nature curling throughout Jin's body, electrifying, burning, and battering him all at once. He was blasted back to earth, not hitting the building, but creating a crater at the front entrance. Wouldn't want to hurt my dear blood buddy now, would I? But seriously, my blood buddies really need to learn to fight by themselves. They had better do it soon too. Naruto stayed there, floating in the sky, rolling around in hysterical laughter, in front of the moon, a shadow in the bright night. When his mad fit finally ended, he gazed at Mocha and rested his chin on his hands. What to do with my toys? Now that I've finally gotten out of my prison, I wonder what I should do. What do you think, Naruto? The little fox in the depths of his mind shrugged and went back to whatever he did when the other Naruto was out. The other Naruto's smile suddenly tried to grow off his face. I've just had an idea. It'll take some time and patience. But still, oh ho 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 ho, wouldn't that be fun? It'll be worth it. Mocha's POV. What? Her head. It felt like it was on fire. What had she done? Sitting up, Mocha glanced around, trying to find where she was. And apparently, she was on the rooftop, overlooking the sea. She groaned and winced again. Her head throbbed painfully and she curled into the fetal position, hugging herself tightly. Realizing the furry, wet feeling that accompanied her wasn't there, with enormous effort, she managed to lift her head, but the pain flared again and she immediately curled tighter. Ouch! Why does it hurt so much? What did she do? How had she gotten here? Back up. Let's see. I was following Jin and Sukune, then watched them as they looked at that window. I saw Jin take a picture, and I remember getting really angry. And then, the rest was a hazy, impenetrable blur, but she distinctly recalled the hate she had felt. The bottled-up emotion of anger. Well, she had successfully managed to distract herself from the pain, and Mocha was able to slowly move into a sitting position. The pain was bearable now, and she looked about for her little orange friend. Naru-chan? Where are you? Naru-chan? Mocha heard snicker and snort of disgust behind her, but the pain held her head in place. Who are you? Are you the one who brought me here? The voice was definitely male, surprisingly light, and cheery. A child's perhaps. Me? No, never, I would never do such a thing. You did, Mocha sputtered, and retorted. Right, I just walked here and don't remember a thing? The sounds of hands slapping together, behind her. Correct. Wow, you really are a smart girl. You catch on much quicker than others, Mocha-chan. Mocha stiffened at the mention of her name. How do you know your name? Oh, that's an easy one. I've known your name for quite a while now. How should I put it? You bumped into me and I spilled into your arms. Mocha was indignant. You obviously did not. I would definitely remember something like that. Oh, but you did. The female vampire shook her head, but the pain returned, and she stopped. No, I know I didn't. Suddenly there was a little blonde kid wearing an orange jumpsuit balancing on one foot in front of her, staring her straight in the eye. So you don't recognize me? Ah well, since the smart one can't connect the furry little dots, then it'll remain a secret for now. Mocha scowled at the boy who was talking so smugly. What do you mean? But the boy waved aside the question. Never mind. I suppose you have no idea what a blood exchange is? Of course I do. It's when a vampire exchanges blood with another of his or her kind, and they form a special unbreakable pact. But it only works if their love is strong enough, but the plus side is they both can become at least twice as strong. Then her scowl returned. But why did I just tell you that? The boy nodded. Well, I suppose that's partly right, or maybe it's just that this world has a different kind of blood pact, although they are similar enough to be variations of the same seal. Much to think about now. Mocha's pain was starting to ebb. If she could just stall for a couple more minutes. Why do you want to know? Only vampires should know of the blood pact, and you are definitely not old enough to receive that info even if you were a vampire. The blonde winked. Looks can be deceiving. Mocha desperately tried to think, trying to fire question after question. Well, why? Why do you want to know about all this stuff? Because it's interesting. How did I get here? The blonde looked disappointed. You already asked that. Why can't you think of something original? And here I was thinking you were smarter than the rest. But you didn't answer me, Mocha said, which earned a laugh from the boy. But I did. You just didn't accept it. Yeah, but it's impossible. Like how it's impossible for a human to be in this school. Mocha stopped, biting her lip. How had he known that? This is fun. Ask me more questions. Now he was just toying with her, but not for long. What did you do to me? Sigh. His blood buddy really wanted answers, didn't she? Well, he couldn't blame her. He held his hands open. Nothing physically. All I did was let your emotions out. They were all yours. I just let them go free. Didn't it feel relieving? No, it hurts. A minor detail. What do you mean by letting my emotions out? Exactly what I said. You were bottling all those evil little devils, and I made sure they were satisfied. I in no way tried to hurt you. I would never do anything so dastardly. Oh, Sukune will tell you, he knows. He's been so much fun, so unpredictable, he even managed to break free of me for a bit. I can't wait to see what he'll do next. Mocha almost jumped up and tried to rip his head off. Then she was horrified with herself. What was she thinking? Only her own willpower kept her from moving before she had healed enough. What does Sukune have to do with this? Oops, let a little too much slip. Sorry, can't say any more than that. Frustration welled inside her head, but she fought it down. Who are you? And what do you want from me? Oh, absolutely nothing. But as for my name, Kurama will do for now. Is there anything else you would like to know then? Mocha could finally control her body freely, so she twirled with her legs out in the air so fast, she rose a few inches, then landed back on her feet. Kurama had hopped backwards a few feet, grinning happily. Good, good. You can move already, as expected of the great vampire clan. Mocha ignored his words and proceeded to attack him with a wave of kicks. But no matter how sharply she moved, or how strongly she lashed out, the orange turd seemed to twist and turn just tilde enough to dodge her blows. With a final grunt, Mocha preformed a roundhouse kick, but Kurama just ducked and jumped backwards. Very nice, but not enough yet. You'll get there someday. Come here, let me show you something. Mocha jumped forward, foot extended, but somehow, Kurama slithered around her leg, over her head, and held in her with her arms behind her back, bent in a way that if she moved, her joints locked together, causing enormous amounts of pain again. She struggled, but when she focused in front of her, she gasped. She saw Jin, lying in a heap, in a crater, at the front of the school. Yes, Tilda, Kurama drawled. That was you, my dear. You caused all of this, you destroyed him, and you unlocked your hidden powers. You know it was intoxicating. Mocha went limp in shock. This happened, because of her. She would never beat somebody so, but... Flashes of memories spiked through her brain, and she could vaguely remember the feeling of something under her foot. I would love to stick around and play ask and answer, but unfortunately, my time is rather limited. And that limit is now. So consider this last piece of advice from an experienced man to a troubled friend. Don't trust foxes. They are cunning little bastards, don't I know it? Also, getting angry and using violence solves all problems, if used enough. And I'm your friend, and don't trust Sukune. And Mocha screamed, grit her teeth, and brought her legs up behind her. The grip on her arms released, she spun around again, but Kurama was gone. Instead, a piece of paper lay where moments ago he had stood. She picked it up, nearly dropping it as she realized how heavy it was. She unfolded it, and stared. The impossible had happened again. Inside the paper was her rosary. Grabbing her hair, she almost ripped it off, staring at it. Her hair color was pink. She slammed her fist against the wall, and everything he had said swam through her thoughts. The seed of suspicion and confusion had been planted. Sukune's POV. Yawn, what a night. He had been unable to properly fall asleep, worrying for how Jin would react to how he had treated him. He had suddenly become angry, and somehow gained the strength of a monster. It was one of the most frightening things he'd ever felt, and he was afraid it would maul him in the night. Eventually, he'd fallen asleep due to sheer exhaustion. But that had been about an hour ago. Now, the lack of rest was coming back to bite at him. Hey, wonder how my blood will taste now. He chuckled at his own grim humor, but then he grimaced. Such thoughts did not usually occur to him. Just what's wrong with me? He turned the corner and bumped into a uniform. It was another student, a little larger than Sukune was, and Sukune immediately feared for his health. But the boy didn't turn around, not even acknowledging the human's presence. But there were more people, all looking in the same direction, whispering, murmuring, questioning. Fear dropped like a hot stone in Sukune's stomach, and he squeezed his way to the front. He kept pushing, moving, and trip. There was a ledge that Sukune had not spotted until the last moment, and he fell forward, tumbling down. Rubbing his sore areas, he got to his knees and looked up. There saw a face caked in blood staring right back, the face of his senior. It was Jin Senpai. Sukune froze in terror, and he refused to move. Was he dead? Sukune leaned in an inch closer, straining his ears. Who? He was breathing. What a relief. Hey, somebody, get the school nurse. Why hasn't anybody called her yet? The school nurse who had tended Sukune before shoved her way through the crowd, but she also tripped and fell down the crater. When she stopped rolling, she hopped to her feet and saluted to no one. Mako Yakumaru reporting for duty. OMYGOSHTHERESADPERSONECALLTHENURSE. Oh wait, that's me. She bonked her head and stuck out her tongue. She brought out some bandages and some sort of liquid, and began to tend Jin. Sukune looked at the clouds lazily floating by, and wondered what it would be like to live like that. Aimlessly going wherever he wished, making good and bad weather, and just releasing all the bad stuff whenever he felt like it. Tisk. Sukune felt a flash of something at the back of his mind, and he spun around. It was just the school, nothing unusual. Ding dong. The school bell rang, and the students hurried to their classes. Sukune followed suit, and got to his seat. There wasn't much need to hurry, school wouldn't start for another half an hour. Kurumu's POV. Kurumu hopped and skipped down the path. Another to spend with her destined one. Life was good. Now if only that blood-sucking vampire weren't here. She sunk into herself into plenty of scenarios of where Mocha didn't exist, and she could be alone with her darling. Before she knew it, the bell had ringed, and she was in her desk, smiling at the back of Sukune's head. Ms. Nekonome called attendance, and everyone had answered. Except Mocha. Strange. Mocha was fine just yesterday, when they had been arguing about the usual. Mocha? Mocha-chan? Now where could she be? Has anyone heard from her? There was a chattering as friends turned to each other to answer in the negative. Sukune's back seemed to become smaller, and he stood, noisily scraping the chair against the floor. Sukune, where are you? In concern and curiosity, Kurumu also stood, shouting. Sensei, can I go to the washroom as well? The poor teacher nodded, and the two left before she could change her mind. Kurumu ran out, scanning the halls for her destined one. Mocha's POV. She couldn't even tell whether to be angry or sad. She just felt empty. The lies she had been told, the things that Kurama had said. There was no way they were true, right? Released her emotions? Impossible, it just wasn't possible, and she never got angry. What was all this about Naru-chan? Don't trust him? He was a fox for crying out loud. Monster or not, it wasn't like he had done anything wrong. Other than maybe the occasional prank. What do I do? He had said they already met. But she knew she had never seen somebody like him in her entire life. And how did he know about the blood pact? He couldn't have been a vampire, could he? And he had so easily avoided all her attacks. Damn it, she punched the wall beside her in frustration, and it crumbled to bits. Yikes. Holy crap, that was close. Mocha turned in shock to see Sukune. He'd been standing behind the wall Mocha had just demolished, and she'd very nearly attacked him. Oh, Sukune, I'm so sorry. Sukune sat down beside her. And when have you been the type of person to take things out on poor walls? It had probably been a joke, he trying to cheer her up, but this just made her guilt and pain even sharper. She tried to hide it, but somehow Sukune was very perceptive this morning. What's wrong? Mocha felt another rush of memories and feelings, afraid that they would show on her face. Mocha turned away. It's nothing. I'm fine. Mocha couldn't see Sukune, but she could practically feel his reassuring smile that always made her feel better. You don't believe me, do you? She pouted. No, but I'm sure you're gonna tell me, aren't you? They sat in silence, until Mocha let down the wall she had kept in between them with her attitude. It came out a bit shakily at first, but the more she said, the calmer she became. Sukune's POV. Holy crap, was he nervous. By some favor of the heavens, he had been able to calmly sit down and ask Mocha what was wrong. She had even told him. Inside, Sukune felt like crying in happiness. He could be dependable when it mattered, right? But as Mocha continued, he kept up his patient face, but he had sank in how similar her situation was to his. And that Kurama guy had taken off my rosary, and I hadn't transformed. He did something to me, Sukune. I didn't even think about kicking him, it just happened. I didn't think it was wrong at all. I was just thinking about how to get rid of him. Something's wrong with me, Sukune, and what if I'm going to think about this all the time? Sukune sat there, both their legs dangling precariously from the roof, but for Mocha's sake, he swallowed his fear, and continued to sit there. Mocha, you said you wanted to hurt him after he said something about me, right? She nodded. Well, that means you wanted to protect me, right? That stopped Mocha. She hadn't thought of it like that. Mustering every bit of courage he had left, he took her hand and stared her in the eyes. Mocha was visibly reddening in the morning light. Yeah, I guess. Why? Sukune ignored the sudden desire to kiss her. Because you were angry for me, right? Then I'm really happy. Thank you, Mocha-san. Steam was shooting out of the vampire's ears, and she turned away. You're welcome. Sukune got up and started to walk back to the door. Heading towards the door, Sukune stopped halfway and turned back. He closed his eyes so as not to be blinded by the sun, gave his biggest smile, and said, well, whatever happens next, Mocha-san, I'll always be by your side, protecting you. He started to turn, but a heavy weight landed on him before he could move. Sukune, he opened his eyes to see Mocha staring at him. She wasn't looking at his neck, but more at his lips. Bringing his mouth closer to hers, slowly, ever so slowly, they moved closer, and closer, and closer. Until, this is where you two were. Naruto-chan and I were looking all over for you. That was sneaky. What were you two doing? Kurumu's face peered at the couple. Naruto's enjoying the usual hubbub of humans, and the two jumped away from each other. Nothing at all. They yelled at the same time, as if they were in an army drill caught talking. Kurumu glared pointedly at Mocha, her gaze accusing. You little thief. Sukune is mine, I tell you. She shoved him into her bosom, and Sukune could feel his face burning with enjoyment and embarrassment. That, and his lack of oxygen. What are you doing? I knew Sukune first. She pulled him away from the lair of womanhood, and hugged him close as well. Sukune was knocked to the floor when Kurumu put her breast challengingly up to Mocha's. Oh yeah? Look at the size of these compared to yours. How inferior. OHOHOHOHOHOH. She laughed like the last evil boss of a video game. Mocha, unwilling to back down, stood on her tiptoes to gain the advantage of gravity. Staring daggers into each other's eyes, they kept fighting as lionesses would over prey. While the two females were fighting, Naruto hopped off his perch on Kurumu's shoulder and went to comfort his friend. Sukune staggered to his knees and attempted to put out the raging fire he had unwittingly created. Would you two calm down? We really have to go back to class. Mocha and Kurumu both switched their gaze to Sukune. He gulped. So Sukune, which one of us is better? Who do you like more? The same question, asked every time, every day, always gone unanswered. Sukune did what he usually did. He ran, Naruto happily treading at his feet. Please don't ask me to choose.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.